We are continuing our Marvel Marathon Madness with 2013 Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., a television series created by Marvel based on the Marvel Comics organization of Strategic Homeland Intervention Enforcement and Logistics Division, abbreviated as S.H.I.E.L.D. This peacekeeping and spy agency is a worldwide law enforcement organization that employs an elite team of agents who investigate strange occurrences around the globe and beyond. And across 7 seasons and 136 episodes, the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents deal with various unusual cases and enemies, including Hydra, Inhumans, life model decoys, alien species such as the Kree and Chronicoms, and even time travel. The head protagonist is Agent Phil Coulson, and the show's timeline begins right after the events of 2012 The Avengers, but later diverges into its own timeline and away from the canon events in the MCU. With so many episodes, there is a lot to cover, so let us go ahead and jump straight into the plot. We begin with Season 1, and following the Battle of New York, Agent Phil Coulson, having survived his apparent death by Loki, assembles a team of agents with Melinda May, Grant Ward, Leo Fitz, and Gemma Simmons to investigate superhumans and other related phenomena. During their first mission involving the Extremis serum, they meet Skye, a member of the hacktivist group The Rising Tide. Coulson's team is able to subdue the threat of Extremis, and viewing Skye as an asset, Coulson offers her a place on their team. Skye gets integrated into Coulson's team as a consultant during their next mission, which is tracking a piece of Hydra technology powered by the Tesseract energy. Coulson rallies the team and they take out the individuals after the tech. Later, Skye is revealed to still be loyal to the Rising Tide, while Fury scolds Coulson and warns him of the risk that Skye possesses. S.H.I.E.L.D. Dr. Franklin Hall leaves the agency to find a matter known as gravitonium along with the generator powering it with the help of Ian Quinn, but Coulson warns him that doing so would end up killing millions. In the ensuing battle, Hall seemingly dies and Coulson orders the gravitonium be placed under S.H.I.E.L.D. security and off the books. Now, the team then investigates a series of thefts by Coulson's former protege Amador, who is being blackmailed. Coulson takes her to the bus, their main operations base, where Fitz and Simmons disarm and remove her cybernetic eye that kept her in danger. Before she leaves, Amador tells May that something seems different to her about Coulson. The team searches for a man with pyrokinetic abilities who has taken by Project Centipede recruiter Reyna. She injects him with the Extremis to increase his power before harvesting his blood for further experiments. The team attacks the Centipede facility to shut it down. Coulson then questions Skye to her recent behavior, and she reveals that she joined the Rising Tide and S.H.I.E.L.D. to find her parents, so Coulson agrees to help. Reyna, meanwhile, visits a Centipede member and says to inform to the quote-unquote clairvoyant of the experiment results. The team then investigates a series of deaths, finding the cause to be an alien virus from a Chitauri helmet salvaged from the Battle of New York. Simmons gets infected, but thankfully Fitz and Ward manage to save her. May comforts Coulson, meanwhile, who feels differently than he did before he died, and she says that anyone would be changed by such an experience. The helmet is then placed in a secure facility, and Coulson comes to terms that he is in fact different now. At a S.H.I.E.L.D. command facility, Ward and Fitz are assigned to a mission where they must disable a dangerous weapon. Skye and Simmons learn that there is no extraction team for them following the mission, and they inform Coulson, who takes his team to rescue Ward and Fitz. Later at the hub, Coulson learns that the person who brought Skye to the orphanage was a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, and asks May to discreetly investigate further. Coulson is later denied access to information about his recovery in Tahiti, despite his clearance level. Later, the team finds out about an Asgardian berserker staff, which gives the holders super strength and an uncontrollable rage, and that a pagan hate group is after it as well. The team is assisted by Dr. Elliot Randolph, who turns out to be an Asgardian himself. Ward becomes aggressive and his strength increases after he accidentally touches a piece of the staff, so the team recovers the remaining parts and Ward and May use the completed staff to defeat the pagans. Coulson later has a nightmare about his recuperation in Tahiti. Now, a mysterious force threatens the team when they bring in a safety inspector who is blamed for an explosion that killed 4 mechanics. The team then discovers that the unknown force is one of the technicians who is unable to let go following his death, as he inadvertently caused the explosion. May manages to defeat him and persuade him to move on, causing him to disappear. Coulson later reveals May's difficult past and how he wants to help her heal. Coulson then recruits Peterson, the man who had Extremis put in him during episode 1, to his team for super soldier support when a member of Centipede is sprung from prison by upgraded super soldiers. The team is then ambushed by a squad of super soldiers who were subjected to the same eye implant as Amador did, but they managed to defeat them. When Peterson then contacts his son, he learns that he has been kidnapped by Centipede, who suggests a trade of Peterson for Coulson, and Coulson agrees to be taken. After the exchange, Peterson attempts to rescue Coulson, but he is apparently killed in an explosion. Agent Victoria Hand leads the efforts to rescue Coulson while Centipede tortures him to learn the secrets of his resurrection. Skye meanwhile sets out on her own investigation, which does lead the team to find Coulson. Reyna uses a device to force Coulson to remember aspects of him being brought back to life. As Coulson experiences flashbacks, the team manages to rescue him and capture Reyna. Coulson meanwhile learns that he has been dead but was revived at the orders of Nick Fury after the Battle of New York, and that doctors manipulated Coulson's brain to give him false memories for him to be able to continue his work. It is later revealed that Peterson is alive following the explosion, albeit he is badly injured, and he has now an explosive eye implanted in him by someone working for the Clairvoyant. Now, while at a S.H.I.E.L.D. Academy following those events, Ward, Fitz, Simmons, and Skye investigate an attack on a cadet with an ice machine that can freeze people and their surroundings. The team interrogates the other cadets while Fitz befriends one of them, seeing much of himself within him. Meanwhile, Coulson and May go to Mexico City to find a former agent, who tells them of a mission 21 years earlier involving Skye. The team meanwhile deduces that the cadets are building a bigger ice machine with a better power source that creates a massive ice storm. They apprehend Gil, the cadet Fitz befriended, but it seems that Gil gains apparent cryokinetic abilities. Later, Coulson calls Quinn, who has connections to the Clairvoyant. Hunting the Clairvoyant, the team boards on a train which a Cybertech Inc. group is shipping a package to Quinn, but the team is exposed, forcing Coulson and Ward to flee the train. Meeting up with May, they get back to the train and Simmons, but Fitz and Skye are gone, having already followed the package to Quinn's mansion. Skye is confronted by Quinn and discovers the alive Peterson in a hyperbaric chamber. The package is a prosthetic leg from Cybertech's Project Deathlock that Quinn fits on Peterson's amputated right leg. Peterson goes on to kill the Cybertech guards on the orders of the Clairvoyant, who once again kidnapped his son. Quinn then shoots Skye and leaves her to die. S.H.I.E.L.D. raids the mansion and finds Skye after capturing Quinn. Simmons can only sustain Skye by placing her in the same hyperbaric chamber that Peterson was in. Skye is rushed to a medical facility, but the doctors are only able to stabilize her. Agents John Garrett and Antoine Triplett arrive, and Garrett interrogates Quinn on the bus, learning that the Clairvoyant had Skye shot so that they could learn about Coulson's resurrection. Fitz and Simmons find out that Coulson was revived at a place known as the quote-unquote guest house, where Coulson, Ward, Garrett, and Fitz head for answers. Fitz thankfully finds the drug, while Coulson finds a room marked quote-unquote Tahiti, where he finds the source of the drug, the upper half of a blue-skinned humanoid. They head back, and despite Coulson attempts to avoid giving Skye the drug due to what he saw, Fitz gives the drug to Simmons in time to successfully save Skye. Following that, the Asgardian Lorelei enslaves a biker gang and begins to form an army. While the team is summoned to investigate an energy reading from the Bifrost, they encounter Sif, who is seeking Lorelei. She explains that Lorelei escaped imprisonment, and to neutralize her power of controlling the minds of men, Sif must place a special collar around her neck. They engage and fight Lorelei and her men, and manage to fix the collar to her neck and undoing her magic. Coulson then tells Skye about the drug used to revive them, and despite Coulson's worries, Skye remains optimistic. Unknown to them, May is monitoring their conversation and reporting to someone else. Agents Garrett, Triplett, Hand, Sitwell, and Blake join the hunt for the Clairvoyant. The agents pair up to pursue different candidates. While searching for Thomas Nash, May and Blake encounter Peterson and tag him with a tracker, while Triplet and Simmons stay at the hub with Hand. The team finds Nash, and when he claims to be the clairvoyant, Ward kills him. Coulson and Skye realize that Nash was not the clairvoyant, and that the clairvoyant is actually a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. Coulson accuses Ward of working with the clairvoyant, but is interrupted when Fitz discovers May's secret phone line. As Coulson and Skye stand off with May in the hangar, control of the bus is hijacked by the hub, where Hand orders everyone on board to be killed. Garrett's jet is attacked by drones after the bus is hijacked, and he rejoins the team. At the hub, Simmons and Triplet begin working together to upload Simmons' research on Skye's blood, only for a Hydra assault on all S.H.I.E.L.D. facilities forces them into hiding. Coulson locks May in an interrogation room with Ward, believing they are both traitors. The bus arrives at the hub, and the group head out to capture Hand. However, Garrett accidentally discloses information that reveals himself as the true clairvoyant, and he is captured by Coulson and May. Ward accompanies Hand to the fridge so that he can see to Garrett's imprisonment personally. But shortly after, he reveals to the audience his own allegiance to Hydra by killing Hand and freeing Garrett. Ward frees Raina and introduces Garrett to her as the clairvoyant, and she agrees to try to replicate the quote-unquote guest house drug. Colonel Glenn Talbot sends a military team to the hub, so Coulson orders Skye to erase all of their identities, including Ward's, and they all leave. They then discover the hidden S.H.I.E.L.D. base Providence, run by Agent Eric Koenig. Coulson learns from May that Fury did not oversee the Tahiti project. Ward and Garrett manage to steal weapons, including the Berserker staff and the Gravitonium. Raina informs them that the hard drive containing all of Skye and Simmons' research is locked and only Skye can access it, prompting Garrett to send word to Providence. Coulson takes Fitz, Simmons, and Triplet to stop a superhuman, while May leaves the team because she's tired of Coulson not trusting her. Skye and Koenig, meanwhile, hack the NSA to get eyes on the Hydra attack, so Ward kills Koenig to keep his cover, but Skye realizes that Ward is in fact with Hydra. To avoid suspicion by Ward, Skye joins him as they steal the bus before Coulson and the others return. Later, May is picked up by her mother in Ontario, Canada, who helps her look for Maria Hill. Fitz finds a message left by Skye informing them that Ward is a member of Hydra. Hill arrives at Providence and decides to aid the team directly in their hunt for Ward. Skye leads Ward to a diner and secretly tips off the police, revealing she knows his secret and escapes, but is then captured by Deathlock, who is actually Peterson. As Ward tries to fly the bus away, he is confronted by Hill and Triplet, who stall him while Coulson frees Skye and they escape. The team retreats to a hotel where Skye reveals she left the trap in the hard drive. Hill departs for DC while May returns and gives Coulson a flash drive showing a video of Coulson as the head of Project Tahiti, informing Fury that the project must be shut down due to its horrific side effects. We then get a flashback of a teenage Ward when he first met Garrett, getting recruited and trained by him. In the present, Coulson and May infiltrate Cybertech and learn that Garrett was the first Deathlock and that he needs the guest house drug to survive. The team travels to Cuba and find a recently abandoned Hydra base, and Fitz and Simmons find the captured bus. The two are caught by Ward and taken aboard the bus, which departs. Fitz disables Garrett's implants with an EMP. After the two agents lock themselves in an infirmary, Ward ejects it into the ocean. Raina injects Garrett with her synthesized guest house drug, and Garrett recovers. Quinn attempts to sell Deathlocked soldiers to the military and invites them to tour Cybertech's facility. Quinn begins his presentation to the US military officials, only for Garrett to interrupt and kill one of them. Coulson and his team attack the Cybertech facility, with Quinn and Raina escaping with the Gravitonium. May defeats Ward and Coulson confronts Garrett. Fury rescues Fitz and Simmons, though Fitz is barely alive. And then Fury joins Coulson to face Garrett, who is finally put down by Peterson when he learns that Skye managed to save his son. Fury expresses his respect for Coulson and appoints him as the new director of S.H.I.E.L.D., leading the team to a secret base run by Agent Connick's brother, Billy. Reyna delivers a photo of Skye to a mysterious man, telling him she has found his daughter. Later, Coulson awakens in the middle of the night and begins exhibiting signs of enhanced mental capacities, compulsively carving strange symbols into the wall. And that is where we end with Season 1. We begin Season 2 with a flashback to 1945, with the Strategic Scientific Reserve raiding a Hydra base led by Werner Reinhardt and confiscating many items, including the obelisk and a blue humanoid body. Now, in the present, Coulson's team is monitoring a deal around the obelisk, which goes awry when Karl Creel kills the agent offering the intel and escapes with the obelisk. Skye, meanwhile, interrogates Ward, learning that Hydra is using channels not monitored by S.H.I.E.L.D., so the team rushes to save General Talbot from Creel before breaking into a facility full of confiscated S.H.I.E.L.D. assets. Agent Hartley finds the obelisk, while Skye and Triplets steal a cloak-capable Quinjet. Lance Hunter leaves with his team of mercenaries enlisted by S.H.I.E.L.D. only to be ambushed by Creel, who kills Hartley and the entire team except for Hunter. Creel then steals the obelisk for an unaged Reinhardt, now going by the name Daniel Whitehall. After the obelisk is taken, Hunter is captured by Talbot's men. Creel absorbs the properties of the obelisk and meets Reyna, but declines her offer to help him. Talbot sets Hunter free and he returns to S.H.I.E.L.D. Fitz and Agent Alfonso McKenzie, aka Mac, build a weapon that can incapacitate Creel. As the team observes Creel dealing with Whitehall's right-hand man Sunil Bakshi, Hunter disarms them and tries to kill Creel himself, but Creel easily defeats him. And right before he kills Hunter, Coulson incapacitates Creel with the new weapon. Coulson later asks Hunter to stay and help S.H.I.E.L.D. and turns Creel over to Talbot. The obelisk is later shown in the possession of Reyna and the quote-unquote the Doctor, Skye's father, who asks Reyna to find his daughter. Coulson meanwhile learns from Simmons, who is undercover within Hydra, that their next target recruitment is Gil, and Ward tells Skye that Hydra brainwashes recruits like Gil and Krill. S.H.I.E.L.D. traces Gil to a Hydra ship, while Hydra sends Simmons with a team to find Gil themselves, in order to test her loyalty. Fitz tells Ward that Gil is the target, but Ward warns that Gil was already a Hydra asset and that Hydra would try to reactivate his brainwashing. May allows Simmons and Gil to escape in order to maintain her cover, and Hydra successfully brainwashes Gil. Skye shoots him and he falls into the water, but government forces are unable to locate his body. Whitehall then promotes Simmons, while Ward tells Skye that her father is alive and offers to bring her to him. Coulson and May go undercover to recover a painting that is carved with alien symbols similar to the ones that Coulson was carving himself. And when May scouts ahead, she discovers the brainwashed S.H.I.E.L.D. Agent 33, a master of the skies. May is captured and Bakshi tortures her while Agent 33 disguises herself as May to get Coulson and sabotage the bus. Coulson does realize that quote-unquote the May is a fake one, so he rescues the real May, who defeats Agent 33 while Fitz and Hunter work together to save the bus from Hydra's computer virus. Though Bakshi does escape, S.H.I.E.L.D. claims the painting. Reyna is later confronted by Whitehall, who orders her to deliver the obelisk to Hydra or face death. Reyna begs Skye's father to give her the obelisk, but he berates her for not bringing in Skye. Reyna then discovers Simmons' cover and blackmails Coulson, saying she will not reveal Simmons to Hydra if she can take Skye to her father. Coulson obviously refuses and Simmons' identity is exposed, but Hydra's security chief Bobby Morse, another undercover S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, rescues her. Coulson tags Reyna and she leads them to Hydra, as well as the location of Skye's father. Coulson later shows Skye the symbols that he was carving, which she believes are a map. Fitz and Simmons are reunited while Morse, who is Hunter's ex-wife, joins the team. Skye's father delivers the obelisk to Whitehall himself and offers to join forces with Hydra. Following that, during a United Nations summit, Hydra agents posing as S.H.I.E.L.D. operatives attack and kill several representatives. Senator Christian Ward, Grant Ward's brother, then decides to use this to propose an anti-S.H.I.E.L.D. initiative. As Coulson meets Christian to offer a solution, Skye asks Grant about Christian. While Grant says that Christian is a master manipulator, Christian says that is a lie. So Skye and Phil attempt to ascertain which Ward brother is being truthful. Christian and Coulson agree to abandon the anti-S.H.I.E.L.D. proposal in exchange to have Grant stand trial, but Grant unfortunately escapes while being transferred. May then leads a team against the Hydra agents who attacked the UN, capturing several and turning them over to Talbot, who agrees with Coulson's mission and offers his sympathies for fallen S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Now, as stated before, ever since he was revived by using the drug derived from the alien corpse, Coulson has been compulsively carving alien symbols, so he uses Hydra's memory machine to find other patients who were injected with the drug. He discovers that the writing is a 3D diagram of a city where the blue humanoid apparently wished to go. Seeing the design ends his need to carve, but since Hydra is also searching for the city, he makes it a priority for S.H.I.E.L.D. to find it first. Meanwhile, the team tries to capture Ward, who betrays Hydra by capturing Bakshi and leaving him for S.H.I.E.L.D. before preparing to meet his brother. Bakshi reveals to Morse that Whitehall is Reinhard, a Nazi scientist who worked on the obelisk before being captured by the SSR and imprisoned in 1945. Then, in 1989, Reinhard was released by Alexander Pierce to learn that a woman that he met in 1945 was still the same age. He captures and dissects her, discovering the secret to her immortality, and uses it to make himself 44 years younger. The doctor finds the remains of the woman who turns out to be his wife, and he vows vengeance against Whitehall, who he is now pretending to be allied with. Grant Ward also appears to join in on the alliance with Whitehall after having torturing Christian and then killing him and their parents. S.H.I.E.L.D. locates the hidden city, and Coulson meets the quote-unquote doctor, who says that the obelisk, aka the Diviner, is a key that must be taken to the city by someone it deems to be worthy. The team splits, with Coulson and Morse leading a group to search for the hidden city under San Juan, Puerto Rico, while May, Skye, and Hunter go to help Agent Sam and Billy Koenig rescue Raina from Hydra in Vancouver. Raina then tells Skye that the two of them are quote-unquote worthy to enter the temple in the city, while anyone else who tries will die. She also tells Skye that the city and Diviner were created by the Kree. Skye then tries to warn the others, but unfortunately Ward boards the bus to take Raina and Skye to her father, letting the others go in exchange. Mac then enters the city, which causes him intense pain and compels him to attack the others. But Morse manages to subdue him and he falls down a deep shaft. Whitehall finds out Ward took Skye and did not destroy the bus as ordered, so he orders Agent 33 to do so. May manages to stop Hydra from taking down the bus. Ward meanwhile brings Skye to her father Cal, who explains that her name is actually Daisy, and that Whitehall killed her mother. At the Hydra base in San Juan, Whitehall immobilizes Cal and threatens Skye, but is interrupted as the team assaults the base. Coulson manages to kill Whitehall, but that means he takes Cal's chance of vengeance, which leads Cal to attack at Coulson. Skye shoots Ward and forces Cal to leave before following Raina and the Diviner into the temple, while Agent 33 manages to assist Ward in escaping. Coulson and Triplet race to the temple, with Triplet making it in time, but Coulson does not when the temple closes itself and the Diviner opens, revealing a large crystal. Skye and Raina are encased in cocoons, while Triplet is unfortunately killed by the Diviner. Skye erupts out of her cocoon as an earthquake shakes the city. Elsewhere, another Diviner reveals to a man with no eyes that there is someone new. Coulson wants to hit back at Hydra, who are now considering having Bakshi fill Whitehall's leadership position, so he enacts a plan to have Bakshi escape and lead them to other high-ranking Hydra agents, who are then killed. The alien city is flooded, but not before a transformed Raina escapes, now with a monstrous appearance. When Cal turns his back on her, Raina is taken in by the man with no eyes, Gordon, who can teleport. Fitz and Skye realize that she has also been transformed, causing the earthquake in San Juan, but she has no control over her ability. Fitz agrees to keep this a secret from the rest of the team. Meanwhile, Mac finds the quote-unquote toolbox that Nick Fury gave Coulson, and he reports this to Morse. S.H.I.E.L.D. is then called in to help an amnesiac Sif, searching for something called Kava, learning it is the location where Whitehall had found the Diviner. There, they capture a Kree man who restores Sif's memories and introduces himself as Vin Tak, who came to destroy the Diviners and kill anyone affected by the Terrigen crystals inside. When Sky's abilities are revealed, Morse wipes Vin Tak's memories using his weapon. Sif returns Vin Tak to his planet but warns Coulson that Sky may be a greater danger than he realizes. Meanwhile, Hunter confronts Mac about his suspicions that Mac and Morse are hiding something, forcing Mac to knock him out. Meanwhile, Cal finds dangerous individuals from S.H.I.E.L.D.'s gifted index to settle his vendetta. Coulson and Morse investigate, finding that criminals have seized the local school stadium in Wisconsin. May enlists Dr. Andrew Garner, her ex-husband, and a psychoanalyst to work with Sky. Coulson then requests backup, prompting May to fly the bus to Manitowoc. At the stadium, Coulson is confronted by Cal just as May arrives. During the standoff, Gordon appears and teleports away with Cal. As Coulson's team subdue Cal's group, Sky starts causing tremors, only stopping this by directing her abilities inward, causing hairline fractures throughout her body. Elsewhere, Mac hides Hunter in a safe house until they are extracted by what Mac calls the real S.H.I.E.L.D., while Gordon takes Cal to his superiors. Coulson then pulls Sky from active duty and leaves her at a safe house, asking her to take time to learn to control her powers. Ward and Agent 33 hunt down the men who created the technology that allowed Agent 33 to take on May's and anyone else's appearance. He fixes her mask so that she can once more change her appearance to anyone she wishes. Using this, they infiltrate Talbot's base and break out Bakshi. And from Bakshi, they learn about Agent 33's life, including her name, Cara Palamas. Mac, meanwhile, introduces Hunter to Robert Gonzalez and the leadership of the quote-unquote real S.H.I.E.L.D., founded on the idea of transparency rather than Fury's mantra of compartmentalization. They see Coulson as a threat, and when Hunter escapes, they decide to attack the team immediately. Gordon visits Sky to tell her of his home, where she can be safe and learn to control her powers. Coulson confronts Mac about the toolbox and his behavior, deducing he is a mole. Morse steals the toolbox and takes over the base's systems, allowing her and Mac to evade capture and the rest of their faction to attack. Their organization was formed after the Hydra uprising and the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D., when Morse, Gonzalez, Mac, and Hartley saved hundreds of loyal S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Gonzalez realizes all the harm caused by Fury's secrets and now wants S.H.I.E.L.D. to exist without them. He and his colleagues fear potential alien and superhuman phenomena that could endanger the rest of the world. But when they try to detain Sky, she accidentally unleashes her powers. Horrified, Sky agrees to go with Gordon. May helps Coulson escape from Gonzalez, and Coulson soon finds Hunter, who agrees to become a permanent agent. Gordon takes Sky to a place called Afterlife, where Lincoln Campbell explains that people who are transformed are prepared for that, and a guide is selected to help these people master their abilities. Sky's guide is the founder of Afterlife, Jiang, while Gordon will guide Reyna. Now, when Gonzalez asks Fitz and Simmons to help them open Fury's toolbox, Fitz refuses and decides to leave S.H.I.E.L.D., while Simmons agrees to help, though this is a ruse so that Fitz can take the toolbox with him. Coulson and Hunter steal a Quinjet from Gonzalez's agents with the help of Agent Mike Peterson, who has been hunting Hydra scientist Dr. List. Gonzalez fears how many superpowered operatives Coulson has, but believes that he is still deserving of a fair representation, and he asks May to serve on their S.H.I.E.L.D. board. Coulson realizes that to deal with the Hydra threat, he will have to turn to Grant Ward. Now in charge of the base, May investigates Coulson's actions since becoming director, finding out he has been secretly building another base and consulting with Garner, which Mac believes is because he is creating a gifted army. Sky is training with Jiang, and that is when she reveals that she is actually Sky's mother. Cal had pieced her back together and her healing factor revived her. When Jiang realized what monsters her and Cal had become, she left him to build a new and peaceful life. However, Jiang and Sky do agree to join Cal for dinner, a moment that Reina apparently foresaw in a dream. Fitz then opens the toolbox and uses it to contact Coulson. They reunite, and Coulson, Hunter, Fitz, and Peterson capture Ward and Palamas and make a deal to infiltrate Hydra in exchange for giving Ward a clean slate by wiping his memories. Ward uses a brainwashed Bakshi along with Peterson to get close to List, learning he has been tracking Gordon and seeks to capture him. Jiang wants to banish Cal from Afterlife, but Sky fears he may harm others and goes with him before calling May for help. Simmons hacks into Peterson's cybernetic eye and learns that Coulson is working with Ward. As Cal is spending time with Sky, they discover that Lincoln is spying on them, and Cal realizes Jiang's plan. Hydra tracks Gordon's movements to Cal's office and attack, capturing Peterson and Lincoln. Sky is almost reunited with Coulson, but Gordon takes her and Cal away. When Bobby and Mac arrive, Coulson surrenders to them. Coulson then offers to take his team to infiltrate Lista's base and free Peterson and Lincoln. Reina foresees Sky saving Lincoln's life and convinces Gordon to take her to S.H.I.E.L.D. Coulson, May, Sky, Fitz, Simmons, and Ward infiltrate the Hydra base with the help of Bakshi on the inside. Simmons and Ward save Peterson, but Simmons then attempts to kill Ward for all that he has done to them. Bakshi sacrifices himself to save Ward, who decides then to leave by himself. Sky does save Lincoln, while Coulson discovers the base of Hydra's leader, Baron von Strucker. He gives the location to Maria Hill so that the Avengers can defeat Hydra. Ward leaves Palamas with S.H.I.E.L.D., hoping that she can reclaim her lost life as an agent, while Reina begins to question Jiang's leadership. The S.H.I.E.L.D. board is then grateful to Coulson after Fury uses Coulson's secret helicarrier to save lives during the Battle of Sokovia, and they agree to finally merge their factions, with Coulson remaining as director and the board acting as his oversight and advisory council. Reina then has a vision of an ancient Kree weapon, designated to destroy the Inhumans. Gordon takes her to search for it, finding it in the cargo hold of Gonzalez's ship. S.H.I.E.L.D. discovers the intruders and tracks them when they teleport away, learning the location of Afterlife. Palamas reveals Ward's actual true plan when she helps him kidnap Morse. Gonzalez leads a delegation to Afterlife to meet Jiang and the community, and when they meet, she delivers Cal into S.H.I.E.L.D. custody, but then kills Gonzalez and injures herself to start a war with S.H.I.E.L.D., rather than letting her people be indexed onto the superhuman registry. S.H.I.E.L.D. does realize Jiang's ruse, but unfortunately the people of Afterlife, Sky included, fall for it and they agree to fight. Ward meanwhile tortures Bobby and then sets a trap that will end with Hunter being killed in front of her. As part of Jiang's plan, Cal takes a serum to give himself inhuman strength. However, it slowly kills him, and Coulson manages to help him see the truth that Jiang is a monster, convincing him to do terrible things, including bringing her humans so she absorbs them to heal herself and remain young. After failing to convince Sky that Jiang is dangerous, Reina confronts Jiang, but she kills her. Seeing this, Sky turns her back on Jiang. Morse then takes the bullet meant for Hunter, but thankfully she survives, while Ward accidentally kills Palamas. The Inhumans then attack S.H.I.E.L.D., planning to use artificial Terrigen crystals laced with diviner metal to reveal all Inhumans and kill all humans. Sky warns Coulson of Jiang's plan, so Coulson, Fitz, and Cal infiltrate the ship. Fitz kills Gordon, preventing him from unleashing Terrigen Mist, but Coulson loses a hand when he stops one of the crystals from shattering. Sky then confronts Jiang, who attempts to spread more crystals around the world with a Quinjet. Sky pushes the plane into the ocean, and Jiang begins draining her life, until Cal shows up and kills Jiang. Sky then joins a new S.H.I.E.L.D. team of gifted people, and May takes a break from S.H.I.E.L.D. with Garner when everything simmers down, while Ward plans to lead the remains of Hydra against S.H.I.E.L.D. As traces of the crystals from the ocean make their way around the world, the Kree weapon known as the Monolith shockingly absorbs Simmons, and that is where Season 2 ends. Now, we begin Season 3 with Joey Gutierrez, who, after developing metal bending abilities, he is saved from Advanced Threat Containment Unit, or ATCU, which is President Matthew Ellis's replacement for S.H.I.E.L.D. When Skye, who now goes by Daisy, struggles to explain to Gutierrez their Inhuman heritage, activated by the recently released Terrigen Mist, she asks Lincoln Campbell for help. Coulson finds the leader of the ATCU, Rosalind Price, and they realize there is a third party interested in Inhumans, the monstrous Inhuman Lash, who attacks Daisy and Campbell. The arrival of the ATCU causes both Lash and Campbell to flee. Fitz acquires an ancient Hebrew scroll describing the Kree monolith. Simmons, meanwhile, is on a desolate alien planet following the end of Season 2. Dr. Garner evaluates Gutierrez and deems him not yet ready to join the Secret Warriors, Daisy's potential team of Inhumans. Ward, meanwhile, looking to rebuild Hydra, recruits Werner von Strucker, son of Baron von Strucker. Now, Hunter, who is tasked with hunting down Ward, tracks down May, who was on leave for 6 months, and convinces her to join Hunter in his mission. Fitz, meanwhile, learns that the monolith is a portal, and S.H.I.E.L.D. enlists Asgardian Elliot Randolph. Randolph takes them to an old castle where a machine was built to open the monolith using vibrations. So Daisy replicates the effect with her abilities and Fitz enters the portal. He thankfully finds Simmons and brings her back home. Campbell then calls Daisy for help. She finds him, but the ATCU follows her. Campbell then attacks them and escapes, so they try to take Daisy instead. To save her, Coulson agrees to work with Price to capture the Inhumans together. Hunter and May meet with the contact that Hunter has in Hydra, who takes them to an initiation system. Hunter must fight to the death to prove himself worthy of Hydra, so he fights his contact, kills him, and is accepted into Hydra, obviously undercover. Fitz attempts to help Simmons adjust to her old life, but she is struggling with both the different physics of Earth and her mental trauma. Morse later finds Simmons wanting to reopen the portal and return to the planet. Daisy then finds a clue at the scene of a Lash attack and traces it to Dwight Frye, an Inhuman. May warns Coulson that Hunter's mission is becoming too personal and reckless, but refuses to talk to Garner, who left her when they tried rekindling their relationship. The ATCU takes Frye, with Daisy and Mac going with them to see their base and facilities. But Lash springs an ambush, kills Frye, and injures Mac, but for some reason spares Daisy. Hunter is brought in on a mission with Hydra, but is seen by Ward and attacks him. May arrives to help, but Ward reveals Strucker is prepared to kill Garner unless Hunter and May allow him to escape. May is willing to back off, but Hunter shoots Ward in the shoulder as he flees. In retaliation, Strucker seemingly kills Garner. Meanwhile, Simmons tells Fitz of her 6 months on the planet. After going through the portal, she found herself on an apparently deserted planet, coming across a pool of water and an alien life form inhabiting it, sustaining herself until she met a stranded astronaut, Will Daniels. He had traveled through the portal with a team in 2001, as the monolith was in the hands of NASA back then. But over time, they all died due to an evil entity on the planet. Simmons lost hope of being rescued, but found solace with Daniels and fell in love with him. When Fitz came through, Simmons was able to make it to him while Daniels distracted the entity. Now, Simmons wants to reopen the portal to save Daniels, and Fitz agrees. Back with the team, they find Garner alive after Strucker flees the scene. Morris, meanwhile, replaces Hunter on the Ward mission, and May and her begin tracking Strucker. Coulson visits the ATCU facility while Daisy, Mac, and Hunter continue investigating Lash. Coulson sees a captured Inhuman arrive in suspended animation, and Price tells Coulson that she wants to quote-unquote cure the Inhumans because she could not help her husband, who died of cancer. Make of that what you will. May and Morse trace Strucker to the apartment of Gideon Malik, with whom Strucker sought sanctuary, but Malik turns him over to Hydra in exchange for a future favor. As Morse fights off the Hydra members, Strucker tells May that Garner survived his attack because Garner is in fact Lash. May then confronts Garner, who says that when he opened the ledger of known Inhumans belonging to Jiang, it was booby-trapped to release Terrigen Mist. Inhuman abilities within Garner were then unlocked and he transformed into the monstrous Lash. Coulson joins Price for a meeting with the president, but is interrupted en route by Campbell, who has deduced that Lash must have access to the ledger. S.H.I.E.L.D. and the ATCU track down Garner, who has May hostage, and Coulson tries to talk down Garner. Garner's Lash instincts want him to kill Campbell, and after the latter attacks Lash, only May can calm him down and return him to his human form. Campbell warns that Lash, the form of Lash rather, will soon be permanent, so May has ATCU put Garner in stasis until the cure is complete. Malik knows that Ward wants access to a vault of Von Strucker, said to contain a Hydra weapon, so he sends men to kill Ward, but Ward defeats them and learns the vault's location. Hunter and Morse, meanwhile, enter the ATCU disguised as FBI agents. Morse discovers that the ATCU is keeping the Inhumans off-site and is actually trying to make more instead of curing them. Coulson confronts Price about this, but she was unaware of this as her business partner, Gideon Malik, had been running that side. Ward finds the vault and is confronted by an impressed Malik. As Fitz and Simmons realize Daniels was sent through the portal by Hydra as a sacrifice to the entity, Malik explains to Ward that it is an ancient Inhuman, Hive, who was banished through the portal, and Hydra was founded to return it to Earth. If Ward helps Hydra with this, then Malik will help Ward take down S.H.I.E.L.D. Price then tells Coulson the plan to confront Malik before being killed by Ward and dying in Phil's arms. Promoting Mac to interim director, Coulson sets out for revenge, going off book with Hunter and Morse. Fitz and Simmons go to inspect the ATCU, but get captured by Hydra. Simmons is tortured until Fitz agrees to help Hydra return Hive to Earth, while Coulson locates Hydra, who have set up a base at an English castle. Mac clears Gutierrez and Campbell for field duty and mobilizes the rest of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a rescue mission. Hydra reopens the portal and Malik gets Ward to lead Hydra through it with Fitz to return Hive. Determined to kill Ward, Coulson manages to enter the portal as well. Fitz then finds Daniels and manages to convince Ward that they will need him to find the exit point. Mac sends May, Daisy, Campbell, and Gutierrez to find Simmons while he, Morse, and Hunter infiltrate the castle and secure the portal room. Simmons manages to escape and discovers several Inhumans that Malik has gathered as an army, including Garner. Simmons then agrees to unleash Lash on Hydra before making her way to the others. Fitz and Daniels lead Ward to the ruins of an ancient civilization where they manage to get away, while Coulson catches up to Ward and overpowers him, forcing him to follow them. At the exit, Daniels attacks Fitz as Hive had killed Daniels when Simmons escaped and now inhabits his body. Ward attacks Coulson when he is distracted by Fitz, but Coulson manages to kill Ward, while Fitz uses a flare to destroy Daniels' body. Fitz and Coulson return to Earth, but Hive secretly does as well, now inhabiting Ward's body. The team tries to unwind after all the crazy events, but unfortunately that rest is cut short when S.H.I.E.L.D. agents are called into Bogota to investigate an Inhuman. The woman, Elena Rodriguez, is captured despite her super speed due to the limitation of her power to return to where she began moving from after one heartbeat. She explains that she was destroying a weapon to prevent their misuse by corrupt police. Coulson uses the machine that restored his memories on Strucker and discovers where he met Malik. Coulson manages to find many of Malik's facilities, which are promptly shot down by Malik. Morse and Hunter are taken by corrupt police in Bogota using their own Inhuman, Lucio, who can temporarily petrify anyone using eye contact. Rodriguez aids S.H.I.E.L.D. in rescuing the pair, and though Lucio is taken by Hydra, Rodriguez agrees to join the Secret Warriors and remains in Colombia on call. Ellis informs Coulson that the new head of the ATCU will be Glenn Talbot, who will report directly to Coulson. Talbot and Coulson then meet with delegates from several countries to discuss Inhumans, along with Carl Creel, a human who survived Terrigenesis thanks to Hydra experimentation, and whose blood Simmons believes could be used to quote-unquote cure Inhumans who have not yet transformed. Coulson believes one of the delegates is an inside man for Malik and sends Hunter, Morse, and May to find out who it is. Hunter discovers Talbot's son is in ATCU stasis. They also learn that the Australian government has captured an Inhuman, Eden Fessy, for experimentations. Talbot turns on Coulson when Malik arrives, the latter convincing the delegates that Coulson is Hydra and that they should carry out the plan of building an Inhuman sanctuary with Malik instead. Obviously a ruse. May saves Talbot's son, allowing him to leave with Coulson without fear for his family. Hunter and Morse follow Malik to Russia while S.H.I.E.L.D. agents rescue Fessy and Hive restores Ward's corpse to full strength. Hunter and Morse follow Malik to a facility in Siberia where a Russian delegate wants to build a sanctuary against the wishes of a Russian prime minister. The minister sends his envoy to shut down the operations, but he is murdered by an opposition minister and an Inhuman. Hunter kills the delegate to protect the minister, while Morse kills the opposition minister. The prime minister, unaware of their help, has the two arrested. Their Interpol interrogator threatens to turn them over to the Russian authorities for execution unless they confirm that S.H.I.E.L.D. still exists. But Morse and Hunter naturally refuse. Ellis then intervenes with Coulson and saves the pair's life on the condition that they never work for the US government again. So Morse and Hunter choose to leave the agency. Following that, when an online hate group called the Watchdogs uses nitramine bombs to perform a terrorist attack on the ATCU facility, Coulson believes former S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Felix Blake, who had been missing since the hunt for the clairvoyant, is leading the group. Coulson takes Campbell to search Blake's known safe houses, and the two are confronted by Blake via hologram, who reveals that Hydra is backing him and the Watchdogs in their crusade to kill all Inhumans, and S.H.I.E.L.D. realizes that the attack was a cover for Hydra to steal something from the ATCU. S.H.I.E.L.D. then learns that Inhuman Charles Hinton was captured by Hydra. Before he is taken, Daisy touches Hinton first, giving her a vision of his death. Hive promises to reward Malik for sending word through the portal. They use Hinton to obtain a powerful exoskeleton from a private company. S.H.I.E.L.D. seeks to stop Daisy's vision from playing out by sending May to find Hinton. But at the last minute, Garner arrives, wanting to say goodbye to May before he transforms into Lash for good. Daisy goes to the company after S.H.I.E.L.D. has tracked Hydra and Hinton, and faces Malik and his exoskeleton. Hinton saves Daisy by distracting Malik, giving them both visions, hers of a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent dying in space before dying himself. Now, in a flashback, we learn that Gideon betrayed his brother Nathaniel and had him sacrificed to Hive as one of those tributes. In the present, Gideon tells his daughter Stephanie of his vision, believing he saw his own death at the hands of Hive. Daisy and Campbell track down J.T. James, an untransformed Inhuman with knowledge of Hive, who gives them an ancient Kree device. The rest of S.H.I.E.L.D. captures Guerra, Gideon's right-hand man who is now loyal to Hive. Guerra takes control of the plane and directs it to a Hydra base with most of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s as his prisoners. Hive comes to Malik's house and reveals to Gideon that he has Nathaniel's memories, and as punishment for his betrayal of his brother, Hive kills Stephanie right in front of Malik. Daisy and Campbell, along with Gutierrez and now along for the ride, Rodriguez, infiltrate the Hydra base to free S.H.I.E.L.D. Gutierrez kills Lucio while Campbell captures Malik. During questioning, Malik explains to Coulson that Hive can infect the minds of Inhumans, and Simmons does confirm that from an autopsy of Lucio that Hive parasites did infect his brain, and the same can occur to any Inhuman. When Malik is found dead, the human agents trap the Inhumans and search their belongings. They discovered the Kree device in Campbell's possession rather than in asset lockup. Campbell protests while the other three are released. Daisy later visits Campbell and offers to break him out, but Campbell refuses, realizing that Hive is controlling Daisy, and used her to murder Malik and frame Campbell. Daisy leaves and creates an earthquake to destroy the S.H.I.E.L.D. base with everyone inside. S.H.I.E.L.D. thankfully escapes mostly unharmed, knowing that Daisy could have killed them all, believing that she is fighting Hive in her mind. Fitz and Simmons seek out Holden Radcliffe, whose studies of parasites could help with counteracting Hive's abilities. Hive turns Alicia Whiteley, a duplicating Inhuman, and James, who now can imbue objects with fire, and takes this fledgling army to interrupt Fitz and Simmons. Daisy warns Fitz and Simmons, but Hive still kidnaps Radcliffe, taking him to a town that was bought with Malik's remaining fortune. where Hive intends to recreate the original Kree experiments that made the first Inhumans. Talbot and the ATCU completely dismantle Hydra's remaining infrastructure, and Fitz and Simmons finally consummate their relationship. Ratcliffe's first attempt to turn humans into Inhumans fails as he requires actual Kree blood. Fitz and Simmons attempt to create an Inhuman cure, but they need a test subject, so Campbell volunteers, severely compromising his immunity system and seemingly proving that the cure cannot free the Inhumans of Hives' connection. S.H.I.E.L.D. then locates Hives' town, and Mac and May lead a team to free the others by killing Hive. Hive then activates the Kree artifact, a beacon which calls 2 Kree Reapers to the town, who murder Whitley. Daisy and Hive each confront a Reaper, with Daisy managing to begin harvesting the Reaper's blood until Mac arrives. Daisy attacks Mac, nearly killing him, but May helps Mac retreat with the rest of their team. Daisy then offers her blood as an alternative for Ratcliffe's experiment, as it was recently infused with Kree blood. After the signing of the Sokovia Accords, Talbot and Coulson discuss registering the Inhumans, with Coulson taking Talbot to the base to introduce him to Rodriguez and Lash, explain the Hive situation, and the need to keep the Secret Warriors actually secret. Hive brings several people who are mutated into primitive Inhumans due to Ratcliffe's trials, and they fall under Hive's sway, promoting him to proceed with his ultimate plan to use a warhead to spread Ratcliffe's new pathogen around the world and transform all humans into these kind of primitives. Campbell contacts Daisy and convinces her that he wants to be with her. However, this was a ruse on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s part, with Lash arriving instead of Campbell. Lash uses his abilities to free Daisy from Hive's sway, but is then killed by James. Daisy escapes back to S.H.I.E.L.D. S.H.I.E.L.D. then keeps Daisy contained while she is still showing signs of withdrawal symptoms after losing her connection with Hive, but her intel allows them to find Hive's base. With Talbot's military contacts, S.H.I.E.L.D. manages to disable the warhead, while agents infiltrate the base, capture Hive, and extract Ratcliffe, who agrees to cooperate with S.H.I.E.L.D., revealing that the primitive process is irreversible. Guerra and James steal the warhead, and they detonate a bomb that they had smuggled into the S.H.I.E.L.D. hangar, releasing some of the pathogen. Several agents transform into primitives, and they free Hive, who proceeds to steal Zephyr-1, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s airborne command unit that could take the warhead high enough for the pathogen to transform a large portion of humanity. Daisy then escapes and confronts Hive. That is when Hive realizes that Lash has actually made Daisy impervious to his sway, so he abducts her instead. Guerra and James bring him the warhead while the primitives remain to kill the rest of S.H.I.E.L.D. May and Fitz infiltrate Zephyr-1 and free Daisy. Fitz kills Guerra while Coulson and the others evade the primitives and board Zephyr-1 via a Quinjet. Coulson plans to send the warhead into space in the Quinjet to detonate safely, and Daisy believes that she must go with it to atone for her actions under Hive's sway and fulfill her vision. She enters the Quinjet where she is confronted by Hive, but Campbell throws her out and ascends to space where the warhead is detonated and kills both him and Hive. 6 months later, Daisy has left S.H.I.E.L.D. and is operating as the vigilante Quake, evading Coulson, who is no longer director of S.H.I.E.L.D. Ratcliffe, meanwhile, uploads his artificial intelligence Ada into a life model decoy, and that is where the 3rd season ends. We move on to the web-exclusive miniseries Slingshot, which happens between seasons 3 and 4, where Elena and Daisy discuss a secret mission that they shared while Daisy went rogue. Now that Daisy has returned, Elena wants to make sure that their stories match to throw off director Jeffrey Mace. On that mission, Rodriguez signed the Sokovia Accords while also going after Victor Ramon, the man responsible for her cousin's death. Mace meets Elena and says that she must follow certain procedures before going after Ramon. Unsatisfied, she steals Mace's access card to help her get more information on Victor. Elena learns that Ramon is in Baltimore, but May informs Rodriguez that Mace's credentials are missing, and Elena realizes that May knows she took them. She returns Mace's access card to May, and May gives Rodriguez access to another Quinjet headed to Baltimore. Elena finds Ramon, but one of his henchmen knocks her out, and she is held captive, learning that Ramon is trying to sell a weapon to the terrorist organization, the Watchdogs. Daisy rescues Elena, and as she came for the weapon, she also holds off the Watchdogs for Rodriguez to go after Ramon, who had tried escaping. Ramon is then accidentally killed by the weapon as S.H.I.E.L.D. arrives, ending the mission. In the present, Rodriguez and Johnson agree on their story, and Daisy erases any trace in S.H.I.E.L.D.'s system that Rodriguez was in Baltimore. We open up with Season 4 as Daisy is continuing to hunt affiliates of the terror group the Watchdogs in LA as the Vigilante Quake, just as Aryan Brotherhood members are killed by the Ghost Rider. Coulson and Mac, who were forbidden from searching for Daisy by director Jeffrey Mace, are tipped off to her location by May. Fitz discovers that Ratcliffe had created the android Ada and agrees to help perfect her. He keeps this from Simmons, who is in Mace's inner circle. Simmons discovers that Coulson and Mac are tracking Daisy and orders May to stop them. May arrives to find them following gangsters who got a weapon off of the Brotherhood, a mystical figure that turns the gang members berserk, which also secretly infects May. Daisy tracks down the Ghost Rider, but it defeats her. She later sees its human form, mechanic Robbie Reyes, looking after his brother Gabe. The mystical figure turns out to be a ghost of a woman named Lacey Bauer, who worked at an abandoned facility of Momentum Energy. Daisy confronts Reyes, but once again he overpowers and restrains her, and then finding Daisy's research on Momentum. He leaves and Daisy escapes her restraints. As Mace plans to officially announce S.H.I.E.L.D. as a legitimate organization once again, the infected Mace starts attacking agents. Mace restrains May with his inhuman strength and promises to help her. Mac and Fitz arrive at Momentum to find more ghosts who attempt to blow the facility. Robbie intervenes and stops the ghosts, and Daisy arrives to stop S.H.I.E.L.D. from taking Reyes in. Rather than rejoin S.H.I.E.L.D., Daisy agrees to work with Reyes. Elena is then caught in a blackout in Miami, while Reyes and Daisy are caught in another in LA, and a group claiming to be the Inhuman Resistance fighting against the Accords takes responsibility. Reyes explains that his uncle, Eli Morrow, was jailed for causing an explosion at Momentum that created the ghosts. He believes atoning for Morrow's sins will pay his debt to the devil and rid Reyes of the Ghost Rider. At the Reyes' house, Gabe realizes Daisy is Quake and asks her to leave Robbie alone. Ratcliffe and Simmons cure May, while Coulson, Mac, and Fitz save Rodriguez from the Watchdogs, who set off the EMP that caused the blackout. Watchdogs also had access to S.H.I.E.L.D.'s list of registered Inhumans, and have backing from Senator Alan Nadir, whose brother Vijay Nadir is encased in an Inhuman Terrigen cocoon. Hoping to ease public fears of the Inhumans, Mace announces the return of S.H.I.E.L.D. Simmons then starts helping Daisy track the Watchdogs, learning that the group hacked the Inhumans list using a monitoring device. Coulson visits Morrow in prison but gets nothing, so Robbie talks to Morrow instead. And Mac recognizes him as the Ghost Rider, so they talk and earn his trust. Reyes learns that the Momentum explosion was caused by a group of scientists studying the Darkhold book, and only Lucy's husband, Joseph, survived. Daisy and Simmons find the next Inhuman on the list, J.T. James, but he betrays them as he hates being Inhuman and is aided the Watchdogs essentially. Coulson and Mac arriving to save Daisy and Simmons. While the Ghost Rider defeats James, May helps find the Darkhold. Ada supervised Mace's recovery as a test by Ratcliffe, but Simmons deduces her true nature. Lucy then possesses her husband Joseph to ask where he hid the Darkhold. Coulson arrives and learns of this before Joseph actually dies from her infection, so Coulson decides to use Morrow against Lucy. Now, Mace's public approval rises drastically after he reveals that he is an Inhuman in a debate with Nadir. Lucy then infects the prison staff at Morrow's penitentiary, and they attack Coulson and May. Daisy saves them while Mac and Reyes break Morrow out. Reyes then confronts the last member of the 5th Street Locos gang who had paralyzed Gabe in a paid hit. Reyes loses control and the Ghost Rider kills him. This allows Lucy to kidnap Morrow. Mace then meets with Nadir and agrees to help her when she blackmails him with footage of the Ghost Rider's action while working with S.H.I.E.L.D. Mace then takes a team to board Coulson's plane and arrest Reyes and Daisy. The two hide with Gabe, and Robbie tells Daisy how the locals attacked the two and how Gabe was paralyzed while Robbie was killed. Robbie then promised a stranger that he would seek vengeance, and was resurrected when the spirit of the Ghost Rider was passed to him. Mace finds them, but he is overpowered by the Rider. He agrees to use Robbie against Lucy, and Fitz tracks her to an abandoned plant. May hides the Darkhold while Robbie destroys Lucy, only after she reveals that Morrow wants the Darkhold's power, as his experiments created the ghost, and Joseph ordered Morrow killed to stop him. Morrow now uses an improved version of the momentum machine to gain the power to create matter, which is when Robbie, Fitz, and Coulson disappear. Coulson, Fitz, and Reyes are now trapped between dimensions, and they witness Morrow kill several agents and escape. Fitz then sees Mace arguing with Nadir as he needs Simmons to understand Morrow's technology, but she has been taken to Nadir's brother Vijay, who she helps escape from his Terrigen cocoon. Radcliffe studies the technology instead, and is given the Darkhold by May in her desperation to save Coulson. Radcliffe learns that the book contains way too much knowledge for a person to be able to process, but Ada does manage to read it, and that reveals her android nature to Coulson and May. Ada constructs a portal through which Coulson, Fitz, and Reyes return. Secretly though, Ada begins experimenting with her new knowledge from the Darkhold, creating an artificial brain. Coulson then tells Mace about Ada and agrees to use her against Morrow. Mace approves a strike team consisting of Elena, Robbie, and Daisy. Fitz deduces that Morrow is drawing his power from the other dimension and has created a demon core that could destroy the city if activated. Ada creates a new dimensional portal beneath the demon core through which the device and Morrow are dragged. Reyes also falls through the portal after using the Ghost Rider to hold Morrow in place. Daisy is seen by local media, so Mace publicly clears her name and reinstates her as an agent. He then let Radcliffe continue working on his life model decoy, or LMD for short, after his success with Ada, who has secretly replaced May with an actual LMD. Fitz and Radcliffe are then sent to clear Ada's memory, but she reveals her newfound sentience and overpowers them. Taking control of S.H.I.E.L.D's systems, Ada finds the Darkhold after Coulson gives its location to the May LMD, which does not know that it is an actual LMD and not the real May. Fitz takes control of the systems before Ada escapes, and Mac beheads her. Radcliffe later laments about this to a new model of Ada, as he had programmed the original sentience to steal the Darkhold for himself. Simmons, having identified Vijay from photographs, arrives with Mace and Daisy as Vijay discovers he now has super reflexes, and in response, Ellen shoots him in the stomach. She then asks the watchdogs for help from the quote-unquote superior, as Vijay's body is dropped into a lake and enveloped by another Terrigenesis cocoon. Mace then holds a press conference for Daisy, celebrating her actions, until a sniper attempts to kill him. Coulson and Mac escort Mace and a PR agent Burroughs to a Quinjet, but it explodes mid-flight and crash lands in a forest. There, ex-Hydra agents hired by the watchdogs hunt them. In the ensuing fight, Mace tries to get a serum from a briefcase carried by Burroughs, but it is destroyed. Mace then explains that he is not an Inhuman, but rather granted abilities by a super serum from the government. After their rescue by Daisy and the May LMD, Coulson tells Mace to continue as the face and political leader of S.H.I.E.L.D., while Coulson takes back command of operations. The May LMD discovers her robotic skeleton and her actual LMD nature from a wound, while Fitz begins studying Ada's severed head. Daisy and Mace attend a Senate hearing as Senator Nadir questioning Daisy's actions. Coulson and Elena infiltrate Nadir's office to install surveillance devices, but are unfortunately caught, giving Nadir an excuse to start a full investigation of S.H.I.E.L.D. The May LMD confronts Radcliffe, but is unable to do anything to him, and Fitz discovers his treachery from the original Ada's programming, so S.H.I.E.L.D. arrives and arrests him. Fitz later confronts Radcliffe in his cell and deduces that he is also an LMD. The real Radcliffe sought protection from Nadir after Ada's initial failure. He and Ada have May captive with them, and her mind in a virtual reality simulation of a tragic past event. Meanwhile, Mac and Elena have grown close, and he tells her of his daughter Hope from a past marriage who has died as an infant. Coulson then entrusts the Darkhold to Billy Koenig, who is unfortunately abducted by the Watchdogs. Nadir, meanwhile, directs Radcliffe to the superior, who is industrialist Anton Ivanov, where Radcliffe scans Billy's brain to learn the Darkhold was hidden in the Labyrinth, a S.H.I.E.L.D. facility known only to the Chronic family. Coulson secures the rest of the family, who takes him, the May LMD, and Daisy to the book. The Radcliffe LMD reveals that Radcliffe knows Fitz's estranged father. Simmons learns about the May LMD and warns Daisy in time to stop it from taking the Darkhold and killing Coulson. The Watchdogs arrive with Billy, and Radcliffe steals the Darkhold in the ensuing fight. S.H.I.E.L.D. later destroys the remains of the first Ada and the Radcliffe LMD. Ivanov explains to Radcliffe that he plans to use the Darkhold to destroy both the Inhumans and the man who appears to be behind the recent alien crisis, Coulson. Coulson and Mac later locate Agnes Kitsworth, Radcliffe's former love. Radcliffe left Kitsworth after she was diagnosed with cancer, and he modeled Ada after her. Ivanov, meanwhile, sends Watchdog Tucker Shockley to expose Nadir to Terrigen, but it transforms Tucker instead. Shockley explodes, killing Nadir, and then his molecules reassemble. Daisy confronts Tucker and distracts him long enough for Fitz and Simmons to contain him in a specially made device. Ivanov uses this as a distraction to attack and kidnap Mace, who has learned that each time he uses his super serum, there is a chance that it will kill him. After Kitsworth dies of cancer, Radcliffe places her consciousness in the virtual framework with May. We then get a flashback to years ago to when Coulson and May bested a team that included Ivanov during a mission. Now, Ivanov leads S.H.I.E.L.D. on a treasure hunt around the world in search of Mace, while he tortures him. The team eventually finds Ivanov and Daisy overpowers him. Coulson and Mac save a near-dead Mace while Fitz and Simmons try to locate signs of the framework in hopes of finding May, but are unfortunately unsuccessful. Ada, whom Radcliffe has left to carry out his plans while he spends time in the framework, finds a crippled Ivanov. At base, Fitz and Simmons are alerted by their LMD security system, learning that 4 agents were replaced with LMDs by Ada. This includes Coulson, as the Coulson LMD wakes the May LMD from storage. The new LMDs plan to carry out Ivanov's goal of destroying all Inhumans. Simmons discovers that Mace, Mac, and Fitz are the other new LMDs, and overpowers Fitz. Daisy also discovers them, and the two plan to hack the framework remotely to find the others. Ada kills Radcliffe's body but lets his consciousness live in the framework. Daisy overpowers the Mac, Mace, and Coulson LMDs, while the May LMD intercepts them, only to then side with them and let them leave, as she detonates a bomb that destroys the base with the LMDs inside. Going inside the framework, the agents find an altered reality where Daisy and an alive Ward are together. Coulson is teaching about Inhumans, Hope is alive and with Mac, Fitz is rich, Simmons is dead, and May works for Hydra, which has replaced S.H.I.E.L.D. as the governing agency. In the real world, Ada severs Ivanov's living head from his crippled body and builds android bodies for his mind to control. In the framework, Daisy discovers that she and Ward are agents of Hydra, working under May and Fitz. In the framework, a young Inhuman girl becomes a mass murderer and the catalyst for Hydra to take power. Simmons awakens in a mass grave of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents and eventually comes across Coulson, who is teaching a Hydra-approved curriculum that warns against the dangers of Inhumans. Simmons is unable to convince Coulson that he is inside a virtual simulation and he calls Hydra. Daisy races to find Simmons before the rest of Hydra and is followed by Ward, who reveals himself to be a mole inside Hydra for the Resistance. Daisy and Simmons try to exit the framework using a safeguard the latter created, but it has been blocked by Ada, who has entered the framework as the director of Hydra and Fitz's partner. Daisy then goes to Coulson and he remembers her name. Hoping Radcliffe can help, Daisy returns to Hydra and locates him, but May gives her a new mission on the orders of Fitz and Ada, the latter choosing to go by Ophelia or Madam Hydra. Ward directs Coulson, who can remember some things, and Simmons to the Resistance, the remnants of S.H.I.E.L.D. under the command of an Inhuman Mace. Ward, Simmons, and Coulson take a stolen Hydra Quinjet to extract Radcliffe. May and Daisy arrest Mac, and May forces him to trick Daisy into confessing her allegiance. The others find Radcliffe living in seclusion with Kitsworth, and he explains that the two cannot leave the framework due to their real bodies having died. Fitz and Madam Hydra arrive, with Fitz revealing he knows of the quote-unquote other world. He kills Kitsworth and imprisons Ratcliffe, torturing him and Daisy. Regretting his actions, Mac joins the resistance. Mace and Coulson infiltrate a Hydra camp to free Agent Antoine Triplet. May tracks them and uses a super serum to fight Mace. Through the vents in their holding cells, Daisy learns from Ratcliffe of a backdoor he installed to escape the framework, which Ada cannot disable. Coulson and Mace try to save kids held in the camp, so Hydra uses a missile to bring the building down, and May enters the rubble to ensure Mace is dead. She finds him stopping debris from crushing everyone, with Coulson and Triplet helping the children escape the building. May is horrified to find children being victimized by Hydra. As everyone escapes safely, Mace lets go and gets crushed, and in the real world, Ada finds his physical body dead as well. May turns on Hydra and sneaks a Terrigen crystal to Daisy so she can get Inhuman abilities inside the framework. May and Daisy then escape Hydra, with Daisy using her abilities to break Ophelia's back. Ophelia insists that Fitz finishes their secret project, quote-unquote Looking Glass, after which her framework body will no longer matter. May and Daisy join up with S.H.I.E.L.D. and May provides them with footage from the attack on the camp, which Coulson broadcasts worldwide to counteract Hydra's propaganda. Meanwhile, Simmons and Triplet investigate an oil platform that he believes is the location of Looking Glass. The platform is the framework equivalent of Ivanov's oil platform in the real world, from where Ada is running the framework. As they find the platform empty, Simmons deduces that Looking Glass is a machine built on the real world platform to be connected to a machine in the framework, allowing Ophelia to go to a true human body in the real world. While Daisy and Simmons are in the framework, their bodies are protected by Elena and Agents Piper, Davis, and Prince aboard the Zephyr-1 aircraft. Their connection to the framework drains the plane's power, so Piper shuts off its cloaking ability, which reveals their location to Ivanov. In the framework, Simmons accidentally kills Fitz's father Alistair, and Fitz begins hunting her with help from Ratcliffe, as he offered to send Ratcliffe through the machine, restoring his living body. Ophelia initiates her transference into her new body, and Daisy takes the group to Ratcliffe's exit point, where she, Coulson, and May cross back into the real world. Fitz arrives and confronts Simmons, but is overpowered by Ratcliffe, who regrets all his actions since he first saw and wanted the Darkhold. Ratcliffe sends Fitz through, followed by Simmons. Mac decides to stay, not wanting to live in a world without hope. At Ivanov's platform in the real world, the newly human Ophelia confronts Coulson, May, and Fitz, then teleports away with Fitz. The agents on Zephyr-1 race to the platform to save Coulson and May. Ivanov launches torpedoes at the platform that threaten Max's body, but he is saved by Ophelia, convinced by Fitz to use the Inhuman abilities his machine had given her. At S.H.I.E.L.D., Fitz and Ophelia discuss her new human emotions and the fact that he remembers the terrible act he did inside the framework. He admits that he still loves Simmons over her, outraging Ophelia. Talbot then arrives at the ruined S.H.I.E.L.D. base, but Ophelia kills several soldiers and other agents, including Prince. Coulson and the others flee in the Zephyr, while Ophelia returns to Ivanov, who plans to use knowledge from the Darkhold to apply the changed reality of the framework to the real world. Meanwhile, Yelena enters the framework herself to convince Mac to leave, while Robbie finally returns through a portal from the other dimension. Ivanov comes to an international meeting on S.H.I.E.L.D. and recent events, where he offers to use the Darkhold against Inhumans, during which an attack occurs by an LMD of Daisy, who shoots Talbot in the head, leaving him comatose. In the ensuing fight, S.H.I.E.L.D. retrieves the Darkhold with Reyes' help. Back in the framework, Elena is unable to convince Mac to leave, but he does return with her after Hope's code is deleted, as well as Ratcliffe's, due to Ophelia shutting down the framework. Ophelia then comes for the Darkhold, and Coulson surprises her by unleashing the Spirit of Vengeance himself, having made a deal to become the Ghost Rider for a short time. He incinerates Ophelia. Reyes, now the Ghost Rider again, takes the Darkhold through a portal. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agents then wait to be arrested by the government, but are instead taken by a mysterious group. Sometime later, Coulson finds himself waking up on a space station, and that is where Season 4 ends. We begin with Season 5 exactly where Season 4 ended, with an unknown group taking Coulson, May, Daisy, Simmons, Mac, and Elena and transports them to a space station through a monolith, while Fitz is left behind. They regroup and meet Deke Shaw, who reveals that the space station, named the Lighthouse, was built nearly 90 years prior. Hoping to send a message back to Earth, May and Simmons shockingly discover that the planetary wreckage near the lighthouse is in fact Earth, which has been torn apart by a cataclysmic event. Coulson learns that the monolith transported them not through space, but rather through time. Mac and Yo-Yo learn that the Kree control the station by encouraging bloodshed through these kind of gladiator battles. The entire team blends in by working for a man named Grill, and they meet Tess, who saves them during a quote-unquote kill or be killed event known as the Renewal. Meanwhile, Simmons meets Cassius, the Kree leader of the station, and is inducted as one of his servants. Daisy then meets Deke in his framework simulation, where he states that she is the reason that Earth was torn apart. Simmons is then given the task of helping an Inhuman control her new abilities for her exhibition ceremony. Simmons succeeds but becomes distraught when Cassius sells her to an alien slaver. While the team adapts to their new jobs, Grill becomes suspicious of the team and sends one of his men to spy on them. During a space expedition, Coulson, May, Mac, and Tess discover a radio transmission supposedly originating from Earth's surface. Grill's spy reports back only to be framed as a traitor and exiled to die on Earth. Meanwhile, Yo-Yo helps Daisy get a hold of a Kree tablet to try and save Simmons. However, her mission is thwarted by Deke reporting her to Cassius, who captures Daisy. Daisy then meets Ben, another gladiator capable of telepathy. Using Ben to corroborate their story, Cassius interrogates Daisy and Simmons. They manage to convince Cassius they came alone, though he remains suspicious. During this, Ben learns that Cassius intends to destroy the station. Deke returns to the others to gather information as they learn about the secretive Level 35. Recognizing his father's voice on the radio transmission, Deke agrees to help them gain access to the restricted floor. There, they discover that Cassius is attempting to make Inhumans. May also discovers Deke lied about Daisy's whereabouts, but gets interrupted by Sinara, Cassius' second. Coulson leaves with Deke while May fights Sinara. Meanwhile, Grill sends Mac to confront someone owing him money. Later, Fitz is revealed to be the one of the bidders after Daisy. That is when we learn that when the others were abducted, Fitz in turn was taken into custody and interrogated by General Hale about the others' whereabouts, as well as the assassination attempt on General Glenn Talbot and the deaths of Mace and Ratcliffe. For the next 6 months, Fitz was given special privileges to allow him to locate the team, but he failed. With help from Hunter, Fitz escaped the military facility and tracked down Enoch, the man who took the others, who explains a prophecy foretold these events and takes them to meet Robin, who expresses her prophetic abilities through drawings. Tracked by the military, Enoch helps them escape to a secret bunker, and Fitz learns that he was left behind so he could save the team. Fitz and Hunter break back into Hale's military facility to obtain a cryogenic pod and the Zephyr 1, which they use to escape. Using the pod, Fitz is put to sleep for the next 74 years. He is awakened by Enoch, who prepares him for their arrival at the lighthouse. Back in the station, the Kree harvested some of the youth for an unscheduled Terrigenesis ceremony. Flint, a friend of Tess, experiences a successful Terrigenesis and is taken into hiding by Yo-Yo, but sadly Tess is killed for Flint's disappearance. During a dinner with the buyers, Fitz quickly proves himself, earning Cassius' respect. The first match is held between Ben and May, resulting in May being sent to the surface, while Ben is killed for lying about Daisy. Meanwhile, Grill finds the team and holds them captive until Flint saves them, and kills Grill. The unexpected arrival of Cassius' brother prompts Sinara to battle Daisy for her exhibition, during which Daisy, Fitz, and Simmons subdue the others and escape. During the escape, Simmons proposes to Fitz. Enoch then finds May on Earth, but the meeting is cut short by an approaching gravity storm, and a mysterious figure captures them. Daisy, Fitz, and Simmons learn that the station is being powered by gravitonium as they are hunted, and Fitz is shortly shot during the chase. Deke finds them and takes them to the rest of the team. They plot their escape to Earth's surface by Deke's anti-gravity device. After learning about Tessa's death, Flint decides to stay to protect the remaining inhabitants. Mac and Yo-Yo agree to stay behind to help him. Coulson, Daisy, Fitz, Simmons, and Deke fly to the surface. Meanwhile, Cassius kills his brother and plots to regain his father's approval by capturing Daisy with help from Sinara. Back on the surface, the mystery figure takes Enoch and May to safety, where they meet an elderly Robin. Coulson, Daisy, Fitz, Simmons, and Deke reunite with May in the Zephyr. They meet Voss, an acquaintance of Deke's father. Up on the lighthouse, Flint, Mac, and Yo-Yo go to retrieve weapons hidden by Fitz and defeat several monsters Cassius has released onto the lower levels, and rescue the remaining inhabitants. On Earth, the team try to get answers from Robin and find a machine built into the Zephyr. While Fitz and Simmons attempt to remove Daisy's inhibitor, May and Coulson find a shard of the Time Monolith. Deke questions Voss about the shard, which belonged to his parents, but gets knocked out. Voss then tries to kill Daisy and impales Robin to prevent her from giving the team answers. Before dying, Robin is comforted by May as she reveals their history and finally tells May how to save the world, which requires Flint. In the past, May took care of Robin and encouraged Fitz to build his machine to travel through time. As the gravity storm worsens, the team tries relaunching the Zephyr. May reveals that using the shard, Flint can recreate the monolith, allowing the team to travel back through time. Fitz and Simmons find gravitonium on the Zephyr and realize the designs were manufactured by Fitz himself. On the station, Flint, Mac, and Yo-Yo successfully gain control of the lower levels. Tess is resurrected by Cassius and sent to relay demands for him, threatening to detonate explosives, killing everyone if they are not met. Mac and Yo-Yo retaliate by placing the explosives on level 35, which will prevent Cassius from creating more Inhumans. During a standoff with Cassius, Flint evacuates the inhabitants to the upper levels and uses the remaining explosive to separate them from the lower levels, out of Cassius's reach. Using the gravity storm to her advantage, May navigates the Zephyr into space as Daisy battles Sinara again, this time killing her. Daisy then contacts Mac while the team heads for the lighthouse. As Enoch stays on the Zephyr, the team tries to get to Flint and rescue others from captivity. Cassius infects the Inhuman trainer Ty with odium, a substance that excites maniacal behavior, and sends him after the team, who does manage to defeat him. As Flint recreates the monolith, Mac confronts Cassius, who consumes the remaining odium and fights him. With help from Simmons, Mac kills Cassius and reunites with Yo-Yo, who is still alive in their timeline. Deke returns to the Zephyr in time to save Enoch and fix the machine, although seemingly at the cost of both their lives, as the team returns to the present. Back in their original time, the team meets Noah, Enoch's successor, who has been monitoring the world from the lighthouse. Coulson, May, Fitz, Simmons, Mac, and Yo-Yo investigate a beacon from Earth. Daisy stays behind and discovers that Deke survived the explosion, and after he is arrested, she leaves the bunker to save and stop him from exposing the team, who are wanted now. Upon finding the beacon, the team reunites with Agent Piper, who is revealed to be working for General Hale, and are then ambushed by a group of Hale's robotic soldiers, led by an assassin. During the fight, the assassin injures Yo-Yo and she loses both her arms. Piper realigns with the team as they retreat to the lighthouse with the beacon, but it explodes, so Noah sacrifices himself to save Daisy and Fitz. Later, Hale criticizes the assassin, revealed to be her daughter Ruby, for jeopardizing the operation. Hale later recruits Creel to join her team, and he reluctantly agrees. 3 monoliths were destroyed by the beacon's explosion, which creates a dimensional rift that manifests fear into actual reality. Fitz uses gravitonium to create a device to seal the rift. Coulson volunteers to deliver the device before he collapses. The team learns of his infection, a result of the Ghost Rider burning off the life-sustaining GH325 drug within him. The team is forced to rush their plan when Yo-Yo is attacked by a manifestation of Simmons' LMD. Coulson sends Deke to the surface to call for backup, then proceeds alone to seal the rift. He encounters a fear manifestation but overcomes it and is saved by Peterson, who responds to Deke's call and arrives with several other S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Coulson and Peterson fight off several manifestations before containing the rift. Later, the team organizes a wedding ceremony for Fitz and Simmons. General Hale finds evidence that Deke is related to Fitz and Simmons. As the rift begins to reopen, the team searches for more gravitonium. The team tracks a lead in Baton Rouge where Mac reunites with a friend, Tony Kane. Kane states that gravitonium was in transport aboard a ship that went missing. Deke realizes that the gravitonium may have been activated by the lightning storm, sending the ship into the sky. Following Deke's theory, the team finds the ship suspended in the atmosphere and discovers only a small portion of gravitonium sustaining the ship. As Mac collects the gravitonium, a group of Hales' robotic soldiers ambushes them, but the team escapes the ship before it crashes back to Earth. Deke later realizes Fitz and Simmons are his grandparents. Meanwhile, Hale continues to form her team and recruits Werner von Strucker after S.H.I.E.L.D. revived him from a vegetative state. Fitz works on sealing the rift, but struggles to figure out how to compress the gravitonium. He encounters his framework alter ego, the Doctor, who taunts him. Fitz believes that is a fear manifestation. Coulson, May, and Piper capture General Hale, but she was prepared for this and threatens to detonate bombs strapped to Creel if they fail to comply. Ivanov then arrives, and Coulson agrees to accompany him despite Maze's unease. Simmons, Mac, and Yo-Yo are then attacked by one of the robots that Mac brought from the ship. Daisy is rendered unconscious by another robot and awakens restrained by the Doctor. Simmons deduces that the Doctor was not a result of a fear manifestation, but actually a projection of Fitz's internal turmoil. He uses Daisy's powers to compress the gravitonium and seal the rift completely. Deke, meanwhile, comforts Simmons as well as telling her that he is their grandson. Later, Hale speaks to her benefactor, Kovas, who hands her odium and reminds her of her Hydra allegiance. We then get a flashback to 28 years ago where a young Hale was assigned to infiltrate the military and be impregnated via in vitro fertilization with Ruby, Hydra's next leader. In the present, Hale informs Coulson that an alien alliance known as the Confederacy contacted Hydra and offered to assist Earth during an impending invasion, but she wants to betray the alliance by using a particle infusion chamber and the gravitonium to create a destroyer of worlds. Although it was intended to be Ruby, she suggests that Daisy may be a better fit. Coulson denies her offer and reveals his trip to the future, but she does not believe him. Back at the lighthouse, May and Daisy struggle to deduce Hales' motivation and locate Coulson. Daisy, who was left as the de facto head of S.H.I.E.L.D., refuses to trust Fitz and goes in search of Robin, and Simmons tells Fitz about their relation to Deke. Under Hales' orders, Creel attempts to absorb the gravitonium. In anguish from his exposure to the gravitonium, Creel works with Coulson and Talbot to escape. Hale sends Ruby after them as Creel stays behind, allowing Coulson and Talbot to escape by a teleportation device. Meanwhile, Daisy and May locate Robin, who has stopped drawing her visions for some time now after seeing her own death in the future. Upon seeing May, Robin begins to draw again, and this time showing Coulson and Talbot's location in the mountains. Back at the lighthouse, Simmons convinces Yo-Yo to help her free Fitz and pursue possible leads on Hydra's gravitonium-powered weapon. Daisy then arrives in time to save Coulson and Talbot from Ruby, but Deke is shot by Hale and her men while covering for Daisy, forcing them to retreat. Deke is taken back to the lighthouse where Mac and Piper manage to save him, while May tells Coulson about her feelings for him. Ruby, angry over her mother's attitude, locks her in a cell and takes over, working with Strucker. Fitz, Simmons, and Yo-Yo travel to a Hydra facility in England where they find a particle infusion chamber. Fitz damages it to render it useless, but then gets surrounded by the robot soldiers as Yo-Yo fights Ivanov. She emerges victorious and manages to disable the robots. However, Ruby and Strucker arrive and capture Fitz and Simmons to have them repair the infusion chamber. Meanwhile, Daisy helps Talbot contact his family, but unknowingly helps activate his brainwashing through his wife, Carla, who has been compromised by Hydra. Daisy and May are sent to apprehend Hale, who willingly surrenders, revealing that Ruby plans to become the destroyer and takes them to her. They arrive just as Ruby begins the infusion process, and Strucker is forced to stop the process. Unable to control the gravitonium, Ruby inadvertently crushes Strucker, killing him. While May extracts Fitz and Simmons, Daisy and Hale attempt to calm Ruby down. Yo-Yo returns for Daisy, but upon realizing Ruby is the Destroyer and the one who cut off her arms, she slices Ruby's neck in retaliation. Ruby's body releases a blast of energy as Hale escapes. Back at the lighthouse, Talbot attempts to kidnap Robin, but Coulson and Mac manage to subdue him. Later, Hale is seen in a Confederacy ship where she reveals S.H.I.E.L.D's possession of the gravitonium to Kovas. Coulson then proceeds to put the base on lockdown as Kovas' ship and his Confederacy appear above. Kovas' troops, the Remarath, manage to teleport inside in pursuit of the gravitonium. While Coulson, May, Mac, Fitz, and Deke defend the control room, Yo-Yo retrieves Talbot and proceeds to the lab where Simmons, Piper, and Davis are guarding the gravitonium. Then Yo-Yo, Piper, and Davis attempt to clear the holes when Talbot places himself in the particle infusion chamber, absorbing the remaining gravitonium. With his new powers, he rescues the team before taking off with Coulson to an unknown location. Meanwhile, Daisy relocates Robin and Polly with the help of Kane, who also gives her the centipede serum, which was once used to keep Garrett alive. However, Kane failed to retrieve a special ingredient, so Daisy exhumes her mother's grave. Coming to Kovas' ship, Talbot assumes leadership and demands audience with the Confederacy. Talbot then uses his new abilities to kill one of the leaders and takes his place in the Alliance. Cassius' father, Taryan, tries manipulating Talbot into growing his powers by revealing subterranean deposits of gravitonium on Earth, which can help him save the world from Thanos' imminent invasion. Coulson and Hale fail to convince him of Taryan's motives and are forced to comply. Back at the lighthouse, an odium-powered Remarath warrior attacks Mac, but then dies due to the substance's effects. As Simmons studies the odium, Daisy returns with Jiang's corpse and the centipede serum, tasking Simmons to find a cure to save Coulson. They also equip the Zephyr with gravitonium for space travel and proceed to Kovas' ship. Daisy and May infiltrate the ship, but are forced to surrender when Talbot incapacitates Daisy. Talbot kills Hale after she attempts to trigger Talbot's brainwashing. Later, Daisy is jailed and Taryan tells her he plans to take her to his home world. Daisy then manages to evade her captors as Talbot leaves on a Quinjet for Earth. Deke rescues Coulson and May and then reunites with Daisy. Talbot approaches Creel and offers him peace by turning him into gravitonium and then absorbing him. Mac and Yo-Yo track Talbot to his family's home, where he threatens them, but his son dissuades him from causing harm and he leaves. Meanwhile, Coulson goes with Daisy on the Zephyr while May duels with Kovas as Deke redirects the missiles to target the ship itself. May and Deke teleport back to Earth as Kovas perishes. On the Zephyr, Coulson is attacked by a Remarath and begins to bleed out as his condition worsens. At the lighthouse, Fitz and Simmons explain that the remaining centipede serum could be combined with Jiang's DNA or odium, which would respectively allow the team to either save Coulson or stop Talbot. Elsewhere, Talbot captures Polly and Robin and asks for the gravitonium's location. The team then argues about the usage of the serum until May destroys the odium vial, obviously meaning she wants to save Coulson. Deke asks Daisy to help unite the team and settle their differences. As she was forced to do so, Robin informs Talbot of a gravitonium deposit in Chicago. So Daisy chooses Mac to lead S.H.I.E.L.D. and he leads the team as they evacuate as many civilians as possible. Simmons then provides Coulson with the centipede serum, but he refuses to take it and hides it in Daisy's gauntlets and convinces Daisy to face Talbot. Daisy confronts Talbot, who attacks and attempts to absorb her. She then discovers the serum. Daisy injects herself with it and uses her enhanced abilities to blast Talbot into space, thus changing the timeline completely. While rescuing Polly and Robin, Fitz is mortally wounded by falling debris, so May and Max stay with him as he dies. Simmons wants to find the present version of Fitz, who is in stasis on Enoch's ship. Saying goodbye, Coulson leaves with May to spend his last days in Tahiti, and this is where the 5th season ends. We move on to Season 6, and it's been a year since Coulson's passing, and S.H.I.E.L.D. now is rebuilding under Max's leadership. The team then inspects energy anomalies formed by hostile strangers emerging from portals. Meanwhile, in deep space, Daisy, Simmons, Piper, and Davis search for Fitz, last seen in a cryo-freeze chamber on a spaceship with Enoch. They find the craft abandoned and the chamber empty. Simmons learns that the chamber was created on a planet called Naro Atzia, but the others decide to return back to Earth. They are attacked by a Confederacy cruiser, so Simmons plots a course to Naro Atzia to escape. Mac and May recruit Dr. Marcus Benson to help create a S.H.I.E.L.D. academy. They later locate coordinates that lead them to a museum. The hostiles are there and destroy the building to make way for their leader, Sarge, who shockingly looks just like Coulson. Sarge and his crew begin to gather supplies for their mission, and they hide using cloaking tech. They attract the attention of S.H.I.E.L.D., so May and Yelena lead a team to capture Sarge and his crew but are locked out of their vault. May finds the hidden truck where Sarge's crew is using a portal to move gems out of the vault. May overpowers Jocko, Snowflake, and Pax, but hesitates when she sees Sarge, and they push May through the portal before closing it. Benson decrypts a memory chip and finds a footage of Sarge and his crew witnessing the destruction of a planet. In space, Fitz is out of cryo and hiding on a cargo ship with Enoch. They are discovered by the ship's controller, who threatens to kill them unless they work as slaves. Fitz tricks him into being sucked out of the airlock and changes course to Kitson, where the ship's crew can find new work. Fitz and Enoch arrive on Kitson, but their ship gets stolen, so they head to a local casino to win enough money for a new ship. Meanwhile, Daisy's group arrives on Naro Atzia, where they are boarded by Maliki, a bounty hunter looking for Fitz. They subdue him and find out that Fitz is headed to Kitson, where they arrive later. Meanwhile, needing to win a large sum and lacking money to bet, Fitz enters a game where he is himself the collateral. Losers are sold into slavery. Daisy, Simmons, and Davis eat alien puffs only to learn that they are hallucinogenics. Maliki, revealed to be another Chronicom, knocks out Davis and overrides Enoch's system remotely, revealing Enoch as a robot to the casino runners. Daisy manages to defeat Maliki's gang, and Simmons momentarily reunites with Fitz before Maliki teleports away with him. Meanwhile, on Earth, Sarge shoots statically charged particles into the atmosphere, covering the entire planet. We then learn that Deke has started a company using S.H.I.E.L.D.'s tech. Sarge and his team track down a seemingly normal man and then kill him with a strange knife. The body is brought to Benson, who discovers a bat-like alien parasite that revives and flies away after the knife is removed. Sarge's team goes after Deke next, with Sarge pretending to be Coulson to get close to him, but Deke realizes it is not Coulson and attempts to escape. Mac, May, and a strike team enter the building and try to capture Sarge and his team alive. Mac captures Pax and Jocko while May defeats Snowflake, but Sarge gets the upper hand and kidnaps May. While tracking the parasite, it flies into Agent Keller's mouth and starts fusing with his body. Benson and Yo-Yo attempt to get him to a containment unit, but he unfortunately explodes in a mass of crystalline structures. Yo-Yo gets the knife and stops the parasite from wrecking the base, but is devastated by her failure to save Keller. Now in Sarge's custody, May is forced to kill a parasite-infected man. Sarge then reveals that it was part of the Shrike, parasites that infect worlds and destroy them on behalf of their creator, and that he intends to stop them once and for all. May eventually turns the tables on Sarge and manages to bring him back to base. Daisy's team is then captured by Chronicoms led by Atara, Enoch's former superior. After their home was destroyed by a mysterious plague, they took the Confederacy's ship to defend themselves and kidnap Fitz to unlock the secret to time travel. With no other choice left, Simmons surrenders to the Chronicoms to reunite with Fitz so Daisy and her team can return to Earth. Now, while performing the autopsy on Keller, Benson learns that the parasite and the knife used to kill it were composed of crystals similar to the Kree monoliths. Enoch reunites with Fitz and gets him up to speed on what has happened before gassing him, essentially betraying him. Atara then uses a device to trap Fitz and Simmons inside their minds, forcing them to work together to figure out time travel logic. Fitz learns from a reluctant Simmons of her time-traveling adventures, including the deaths of his alternate future self and Coulson. After a brief argument, Fitz and Simmons reconcile and are then freed by Enoch, who has had second thoughts about his allegiances and manages to overpower Atara and the other Chronicoms. The three of them then teleport away to an unknown destination. Back on Earth, Daisy briefs Mac on Fitz and Simmons' situation and learns that Earth is being invaded by the same creatures that are responsible for the destruction of the Chronicom planet. Fitz, Simmons, and Enoch teleport back to Kitson, where they are captured, but a mercenary named S.H.I.E.L.D intervenes and buys their freedom in exchange for their help in finding an artifact on Earth. As they prepare for departure, Enoch parts ways with them and sets out to help his people once more. Back on Earth, S.H.I.E.L.D attempts to interrogate Sarge and his crew, but to no avail. Using one of his tracker devices, the team locates two Shrike hosts and captures them. However, both hosts cause a violent interaction and create another crystallized explosion. Sarge reveals their weakness against cold exposure, which helps save May and Yo-Yo in time in exchange for his and his crew's freedom. Sarge then reveals that many Shrike hosts will unite at a specific site to create a crystallized tower in preparation for the arrival of quote-unquote the Beast. Mac assigns Daisy, May, and Deke to accompany Sarge and Snowflake to the site while he secretly follows them on Zephyr 1. Before getting free, Pax revealed to Yo-Yo that Sarge's plan is to detonate the tower and take out the Beast, who Sarge reveals to be S.H.I.E.L.D. As they head back to Earth, Fitz and Simmons learn from S.H.I.E.L.D that she is looking for the monoliths. S.H.I.E.L.D secretly begins using Shrike to infect the ship's crew one by one until only Fitz and Simmons are left. Sarge teleports back to the Zephyr after setting the truck to collide with the tower. Enoch establishes contact with one of his associates, Isaiah, and proposes an alliance. Meanwhile, Chronicom hunters attempt to take down Enoch by using their memory machine to learn from Fitz and Simmons' memories. Sarge then takes over the Zephyr and commands Mac to pursue S.H.I.E.L.D's ship. As the truck collides with the tower, Daisy uses her powers to contain it and prevent the explosion. Upon collision, a swarm of Shrike is released, but Daisy quakes them apart, so S.H.I.E.L.D retreats. Sarge kills Pax in anger after learning they failed. Once Fitz and Simmons successfully contact S.H.I.E.L.D, she commands the ship's crew to eliminate them. Elena convinces Jocko to help them, while Mac frees himself with Yo-Yo's help and overpowers Sarge. Mac, Yo-Yo, Davis, and Jocko then infiltrate S.H.I.E.L.'s ship and rescue Fitz and Simmons, but S.H.I.E.L.D disappears. The group reunites with Daisy and the others as Jocko decides to go back and detonate a bomb, sacrificing himself in the process. S.H.I.E.L.D celebrates their victory while Sarge is imprisoned. Mac and Yo-Yo reconcile and rekindle their relationship. Later, May enters Sarge's cell and seemingly kills him. Fitz and Simmons examine an injured but still alive Sarge, learning that his wounds are healing rapidly. Eventually, the team deduces that S.H.I.E.L.D has the power to possess people and that she infiltrated the lighthouse through Davis. Mac puts the base on lockdown, going on to question all agents. After Mac locks up Daisy and Yo-Yo to prevent them from being controlled, S.H.I.E.L.D appears and demands the monoliths. The agents attempt to stop her, but S.H.I.E.L.D keeps hopping through them until she drops Davis from a ledge, killing him before taking Mac. Fitz deduces that the monoliths represent space, time, and creation. When they exploded, their combined energy created a new Coulson and sent him to another planet in the past. Sarge confronts S.H.I.E.L.D, who found the device containing the monolith's energy. She reveals his real name is Pachakutik, and both are from a planet of non-corporeal beings. Despite this, Sarge refuses to join S.H.I.E.L.D. When Yo-Yo and Daisy confront her, she possesses Yelena and demands Mac fly her somewhere else. S.H.I.E.L.D then plans to take the monolith energy to a temple, so she possesses Mac and takes Benson, who she torments until he gives up the location. Then Yo-Yo and Mac trick S.H.I.E.L.D into releasing Benson, so he can let S.H.I.E.L.D know where she is headed. Deke realizes that S.H.I.E.L.'s ability is based on vibrations, so he, Fitz, and Simmons begin making a device to counter it. Daisy then confronts Sarge, snapping his neck, but he comes back stronger and begins destroying the lighthouse. As Daisy prepares to kill him, he calls her Sky. Daisy realizes that Coulson is still in there, at least some remnants of him, so she calms him down and sees him as an ally. Imprisoned in the temple, S.H.I.E.L.D. demands Mac and Yo-Yo recreate the monolith's solid forms. They refuse, but are shocked when Flint suddenly appears. Meanwhile, as Atara still wants to save Chronica 2, their home planet, Maliki wishes to create a Chronica 3. So he kills her and sends Chronicoms after 2 targets. S.H.I.E.L.D. then possesses Flint to rebuild the monoliths, creating a portal where her people await a sign to invade, before breaking Flint's leg and sending out a Shrike army. Deke begins to mass-produce the device needed to counter S.H.I.E.L.D. and turn Sarge's daggers into Shrike-killing bullets. May, Sarge, Piper, and Daisy take a Quinjet to the temple. Daisy leads the Shrike-infected zombies away while May and Sarge go to confront S.H.I.E.L.D. Deke uses a jump drive to go to the temple and free Mac, Yo-Yo, and Flint. With no power for a return trip, he does manage to set a camera to show Fitz and Simmons what S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing and makes it to the Quinjet on foot. Mac and Yo-Yo have Piper fly Flint to safety, but zombies trap them and Daisy in the Zephyr. Sarge and May face S.H.I.E.L.D., but Sarge cannot kill her and stabs May instead, sending her through the portal as he has accepted himself as Pachacutec. Meanwhile, Enoch meets with his contact on Kitson, who tells him all the Chronicoms are now hunters and attack him. Fitz and Simmons tell the field team what happened to May, but communications are then cut off and the lighthouse is put on lockdown. Maliki and the Chronicoms attack, using Fitz and Simmons' knowledge to anticipate their every move. Barricaded in a room with framework tech, Fitz and Simmons prepare to sacrifice themselves to destroy it, but a disguised Enoch saves them and offers a plan, while Mac has Deke fly the Quinjet towards them. In between realms, May destroys 3 hooded figures before they can let S.H.I.E.L.D.'s kind through, but S.H.I.E.L.D. appears and overpowers her to establish the connection. Meanwhile, Daisy, Mac, and Yo-Yo battle Pachacutec, but unfortunately are no match for him. S.H.I.E.L.D. then reappears, but May manages to stab her from behind, killing her. Mac kills Pachacutec and closes the portal. Simmons appears with an upgraded Zephyr, putting May in a stasis pod due to her injuries. Everyone then evacuates as the Chronicoms destroy the temple and monoliths. Fitz remotely sends them to safety with a jump drive, landing them several decades in the past. Simmons then explains that the Chronicoms know everything about S.H.I.E.L.D. and that they need an expert to help them fight back, revealing a Chronicom tech-enhanced Coulson LMD. And that is where the 6th season ends. We open Season 7 in 1931 New York City, where several Chronicoms steal the faces of police officers and kill a contact from a local bar. Simmons introduces Mac and Daisy to the LMD version of Coulson, who is struggling with his existence and the amount of information uploaded into him. Meanwhile, Daisy and Deke investigate the faceless officers and are attacked by the Chronicoms, but they overpower one of them and take him back to the Zephyr. Coulson and Mac investigate the bar and meet its owner, Ernest Koenig, who reveals that the officers are providing security for a function in honor of Governor Franklin D. Roosevelt. Simmons then forces the Chronicom to reveal their actual target, Koenig's employee, Wilfred Malik, father of future Hydra leader Gideon Malik. The team rescues Wilfred from the Chronicoms and realize that they must save Hydra to ensure S.H.I.E.L.D.'s future. Back on the Zephyr, Enoch helps heal May. Deke and Mac then promise to keep Wilfred safe, traveling with him by train to make a delivery. The other agents regroup at Koenig's bar and interrogate Wilfred's contact, Viola, learning she is a Hydra agent and that Freddy is carrying what will become Hydra's super soldier serum. They return to the Zephyr, where Enoch attempts to prevent an erratic May from leaving the ship, so Coulson stops her. Koenig helps lead the team to the delivery location, learning of S.H.I.E.L.D., Chronicoms, and time travel in the process. Koenig tries to stop Wilfred from making the delivery, but he shoots him and leaves with a Hydra agent, securing their future. The Zephyr unexpectedly time travels to follow the Chronicoms through the next time window, leaving Enoch behind, who is hired by a recovering Koenig and tells him more about S.H.I.E.L.D. The team ends up in 1955 near a S.H.I.E.L.D. base currently working on Project Helios, an ion fusion reactor. The agents kidnap Agent Gerald Sharp and have Coulson impersonate him while Simmons impersonates Peggy Carter so that they can find the Chronicom infiltrators. However, they run into Carter's former partner, Daniel Sosa, who outs them. Sharp eventually reveals that Helios cannot function without a powerful energy source, leading Deke to deduce that the Chronicoms plan to sacrifice one of their own to activate the weapon and destroy the base. Daisy arrives undercover and convinces Sosa to release the team just as the Chronicoms enact their plan. Daisy and Simmons improve a S.H.I.E.L.D. EMP device in time to disable Helios, along with the entire base, the Chronicoms, and Coulson. Coulson then wakes up in Sosa's custody. He realizes that the current date is the day that Sosa dies while delivering a device to Howard Stark, so he contacts the Zephyr. Elena and Deke find the device, but Deke is captured by Hydra. He is taken to an older Wilfred Malik who spares Deke. Yo-Yo and Simmons discover that May is experiencing other people's emotions, essentially making her an empath. Mac, Coulson, and Daisy realize that Sosa is killed by Hydra to prevent him from exposing their presence within S.H.I.E.L.D. They decide to change history by knocking Sosa unconscious after he delivers the device and fake his death. Sosa then wakes up on the Zephyr and Coulson explains their situation. They travel forward in time again, while a Chronicom stays in 1955 to help Malik. Now, in 1973, the agents return to the bar to discover that S.H.I.E.L.D. is preparing Project Insight, which should not be developed for several more decades, now led by Wilfred Malik, who should have died in 1970. Wilfred and the Chronicoms attempt to capture the team, but Daisy takes his son Nathaniel hostage to allow their escape. The agents reunite with Enoch and return to the Zephyr. The Chronicoms then jump forward to 1976 when Project Insight is set to launch, and the Zephyr follows. Coulson and May plant explosives in the lighthouse where Insight is being launched, while Deke and Yo-Yo confront Wilfred, who is killed by Deke. Daisy and Sosa are captured by Nathaniel. Mac aborts the detonation when he sees his parents are being held captive, allowing Insight to launch. The agents use the Zephyr to destroy Insight, giving away their location. Nathaniel attempts to call Daniel Whitehall to transfer Daisy's powers to himself. The lighthouse then fires missiles at the Zephyr, damaging the time drive. While Deke, Simmons, and Enoch repair it, Deke discovers that Simmons has a memory implant that blocks her knowledge of Fitz's location. Nathaniel experiments on Daisy and transfers her powers, but is then overwhelmed by them as they destroy the building he is in, allowing Sosa to get Daisy back to the Zephyr. May then uses her powers to identify undercover Chronicoms while she and Coulson rescue General Rick Stoner, and Coulson finds the Chronicoms' ship. He speaks with their predictor, Sybil, before blowing up the ship with himself and many of the Chronicoms in it. Mac and Yo-Yo discover that his parents are dead and being impersonated by Chronicoms, forcing Mac to throw them from the Quinjet. The Zephyr jumps to 1982 and Mac steps out to mourn. Deke checks on him, but then both of them get stranded when the Zephyr suddenly jumps through time. Stuck in 1982, Mac spends the next year in grief. Deke checks in on him occasionally and eventually convinces him to come see Deke's new band. Deke reveals that he has secretly been training the members of the band to be S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, and that Coulson's consciousness has been saved on a hard drive. Meanwhile, Sybil's consciousness also survived, constructing a crude body for herself. She then creates new hunter robots that invade the lighthouse in search of the time stream that Sybil uses to predict the future. Mac helps Deke and the new agents defeat the hunters, unaware that a small robot escaped with the time stream. The Zephyr reappears and May and Yo-Yo reunite with Mac and Deke. Deke recounts the past year's events to May. The small robot then takes the time stream to Nathaniel, who is now working with Sybil. Simmons then informs the team that the time drive will keep jumping them forward until it will eventually collapse on them. Needing Yo-Yo's currently inactive powers to deactivate it, Daisy suggests stopping by Afterlife to get help from her mother Jiayang. Yo-Yo and May arrive to discover that Jiayang is in the process of helping a despondent Inhuman named Cora with her volatile energy powers. Jiayang tells Yelena that her problems are mental rather than physical, and has May use her empath abilities on Yo-Yo. Nathaniel arrives and recruits Cora in taking over Afterlife. Yo-Yo, May, Jiayang, and the young Gordon are forced to flee. Upon arriving back at the Zephyr, Yo-Yo realizes that she has been holding herself back and successfully deactivates the time drive. As the crew settles in, the time drive suddenly starts up, causing the Zephyr to unexpectedly jump again. The Zephyr then gets trapped in a time vortex, and Daisy witnesses several events happen, so she realizes that she is trapped in a time loop as the Zephyr gets closer to the center of the vortex. She also learns that Coulson is also aware of this and has been in the loop even longer. Daisy and Coulson learn about Simmons' memory implant, but when they try to remove it, a freak accident kills her. Coulson concludes that Enoch, who was programmed to protect Simmons' implant, has been unwillingly killing them. They eventually manage to remove the implant, and Simmons informs them that Enoch's power mechanism can fix the time drive, but it will be at the cost of his life. In the final loop, Enoch willingly gives up his mechanism and dies. Meanwhile, Nathaniel helps Cora control her powers. Nathaniel then recruits a young John Garrett, telling him his future while perfecting a way to transfer Inhumans' powers to his men. Daisy then learns that Cora is her half-sister, who died before Daisy was born in the original timeline. She then spends time with Jiayang but does not tell her that she is her daughter. Coulson and Gordon teleport into Afterlife, but Nathaniel anticipated this and captures them. He then transfers Gordon's powers to Garrett, killing Gordon in the process. Garrett then teleports Nathaniel to the lighthouse, while Yo-Yo and Mac rescue the captive Inhumans and Coulson, who then takes Cora captive, so Nathaniel kills Jiayang and flees. He then takes Simmons, and Garrett and Nathaniel steal the Zephyr, with Deke still on board. Nathaniel explains his plans to have Simmons tell them where Fitz is, as he is the only one who can stop them. Cora claims she then wants to work with S.H.I.E.L.D., despite the team deducing she has ulterior motives. Daisy, Sosa, and Mac decide to act and take a Quinjet to follow Nathaniel and the Zephyr into space. Nathaniel attempts to glean information from Simmons by using Deke as leverage, but is unable to find Fitz. His actions cause Simmons to forget who Fitz is completely. May interrogates Cora, who shuts down the lighthouse's powers, allowing Sybil to hack into the mainframe. Coulson realizes that he can read the computer code that she is using and tries to shut her out. May shows Cora Jiayang's body and she lashes out, only to be teleported by Garrett back to the Zephyr. Daisy, Sosa, and Mac watch as the Chronicom fleet arrives. The Chronicoms use information that Sybil stole to destroy S.H.I.E.L.D. facilities around the world. Landing on the Chronicom ship, Daisy looks for Deke and Simmons, while Sosa and Mac fend off a group of Chronicom soldiers. Sybil plans for Daisy to find Simmons to jog her memory, but an impatient Nathaniel has Cora confront them. Daisy talks Cora down and she lets them escape, so Nathaniel knocks her out and has her powers transferred to him. The agents return to the Zephyr and escape the ship. With the lighthouse the only S.H.I.E.L.D. base still standing, Garrett tries to destroy it, but Coulson, Yo-Yo, and May capture him and neutralize his powers, so Nathaniel leaves him behind. Garrett decides to join the agents and teleports them to the bar, only to be killed by other agents who arrive there to hide. Everyone regroups and, with Simmons' help, create a portal that brings Fitz to them, who is sad to learn Simmons does not remember him. Fitz then explains that he traveled from their original timeline to this one using the quantum realm. Deke decides to remain in the new timeline to help send the others and the Chronicoms back to the original one. When they get to the original timeline, Fitz helps Simmons remember him and the life they lived, including their daughter Aaliyah. Coulson, May, Mac, and Daisy infiltrate the Chronicom's ship to rescue Cora and confront Nathaniel. May and Cora combine their abilities to give empathy to the Chronicoms, ending their assault. Daisy fights Nathaniel before destroying the Chronicom's ship, killing him and Sybil. The team finds Daisy in space and Cora revives her. 1 year later, Fitz and Simmons have retired to raise Aaliyah. May is a professor at a S.H.I.E.L.D. academy, while Mac continues to lead S.H.I.E.L.D., with Yo-Yo as his top agent. Daisy is now exploring the cosmos with Sosa and Cora, and Coulson decides to travel the world. And this is where the season and the show ends. Well, wow, that was quite the journey taken across 7 seasons and 136 episodes. Now, before I go to my review and thoughts about the show, I wanted to say a quick thank you very much to all of you who have stuck with me and have joined this channel. I know it took me about a month to upload this video. I just got out of nowhere hit with an unbelievable flu that kept me bedridden for almost 3.5 weeks. But I do appreciate everybody's patience, and thank you for being with me on this ride. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the review. I had such a tremendous time with this series. Each episode was a lot of fun, and the overall adventure was a great ride. Bringing back Coulson after the Battle of New York to serve as the anchor of the series was brilliant. He was a great character to be the main protagonist. And Clark Gregg is such a gem. I also love the entire team of agents, from the awesome Ming-Na Wen as May, to the adorably intelligent pair of Fitz and Simmons, and the fantastic Chloe Bennett as Daisy. The awesome Henry Simmons as Mac is one of my favorites, and the lovable Natalia Cordova-Buckley as Yo-Yo. The whole cast was undeniably charming and captivating. Each season had a specific focus on what the agents needed to accomplish, with greater stakes placed towards the next season, which was done quite well. Between Hydra, Inhumans, the Kree, Life Model Decoys, and Chronicoms, you cannot say that we had a shortage of creatively executed villains, each with different goals to accomplish. While some may say that Season 1 started off slow, and the show found its footing during Season 2 and onward, for me the entire ride was a great one. I enjoyed every season fully. The series kept me hooked throughout essentially, and I found myself waiting for the next episode to drop with eagerness and anticipation, as this was such a thrilling and action-packed adventure all around. I will also note that the fact that we had 22 episodes for almost every season was amazing, because not one of those episodes felt like fillers. The characters were portrayed and written excellently, the pacing was great, and the overall plot and dedication to the world building was awesome. The fact that the team managed to create this series without being overly tied up to the MCU was unbelievable, and to create such a compelling story in a world of heroes and cosmic villains is simply amazing. Overall, this series is just intriguingly brilliant and fabulously thrilling, and that is why I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10. Now, the next TV show I will cover will be 2015 Agent Carter, so stay tuned and share your comments and thoughts below, as well as please do consider hitting the like button and subscribing. I would truly be grateful. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for spending your time with me. Until our next adventure, y'all stay classy.